Chapter 761. Chen, I don't think it's going to be easy. This matter involves the Public Security Department. As you know, the Public Security Department has always been a difficult place to deal with. On the surface, it looks like a bank loan and a property management company inducing them to raise property management fees. But every time something happens, it's the higher-ups from the Public Security Department who handle it. I think we have to change the situation at the Public Security Department this time in order to get rid of him successfully. Zhuang Yichen thought for a moment and placed the box in his hand on the office table. Zhuang Yifeng definitely has more than just a mafia background. Otherwise, with so many nightclubs in High City, why hasn't anyone investigated him? Let's not talk about this for now. We've already wasted so much time. I want to know when we can make a move. Before your wedding. In the next few days. Jiang Zhao didn't want to drag this matter on. After all, some conditions had already been agreed upon. Logically speaking, he owed Zhuang Yichen a favor. If this dragged on, when Yi Er gave birth to the baby, he would have a hard time dealing with this matter. He didn't want that to happen. Zhuang Yichen nodded. All right then. Send me a copy of the information from the Public Security Department. I'll set the trap. Don't get involved. This was the rule between them. Zhuang Yichen always did the dirty work. Okay, I'll send it to your mailbox after I'm done reading it. That night, Xia Qian went to Ninth Mansion and imparted her experience to Xiaoye on what to look out for during the wedding. Xiaoye couldn't be bothered to listen. The things that her younger sister said weren't reliable at all. In the past, she would listen to everything her younger sister said. But now, after marrying Qin Fian, she became a teacher. From time to time, she would glance at the entrance. Zhuang Yichen hadn't returned yet. The closer they got to the wedding, the more uneasy Xiaoye felt. She asked Xia Qian, were you nervous when you had the wedding? No. Why? Because I was forced to get married without knowing anything. Then, the wedding wasn't discussed with me. I still hosted my show and didn't care about anything. Xiaoye hugged a pillow and curled up on the sofa. I didn't care about anything, but why was I nervous? Xia Qian thought for a moment. Because you wanted to marry Zhuang Yichen, but I didn't want to marry Qin Fian at the time. Xiaoye finally felt that her younger sister wasn't acting like an idiot anymore. She was actually able to say such philosophical words. Qian, you really are a smart doryman. Xia Qian smiled proudly. Yes, Qin Fian also praised me recently, saying that I'm much smarter. Xia Qian's, she to be a good girls with wits. To hurt, she. He's so good that I think he must have been struck by lightning. You know how much he hated me in the past. Xia Qian still didn't dare to face this problem. It was as if the world had flipped upside down overnight. Everything was against the norm. Xiaoye laughed and punched Xia Qian's leg. Isn't that good? Everyone says that Qin Fian is the best man in High City. In the past, they always said he was gay. Now, he's a man who can't be any better. You say he's gay, but the problem is, there's no sign of a boyfriend. Everyone says that he was born for you. She used to object to Qin Fian, but it didn't seem like he was lying. If it was a lie that everyone believed, then it must be the truth. Xia Qian listened, but she didn't laugh as happily as Xiaoye. Sis, do you think Qin Fian and I knew each other in the past? Xiaoye was stunned. Huh? Why do you say that? Don't think too much. Sis, you know that Qin Fian is very good-looking. He's different from brother-in-law and Jiang Zhao. His good looks make women feel inferior. His skin is soft and tender. Especially when he's nice to me, he snuggles into my arms and acts coquettishly. Oh my God, you don't know. I have goosebumps. He's taking away my self-esteem as a woman. Xia Qian frowned as she spoke. Xiaoye laughed out loud and hit Xia Qian's head with a pillow. Then, she quickly hugged the pillow in her arms. So many people are jealous that you've taken in such a good-looking man. You still have goosebumps. Xia Qian shrank back and didn't fight back. She also hugged the pillow. The pillow was bigger. She crossed her legs on the sofa and knocked her chin on the pillow. She shook her head. No, no. Sis, let me finish. She found that she had become more and more silent recently. It seemed that she couldn't be happy. She often tried to make herself as happy as before, but she couldn't do it every time. She didn't know if it was because she had a lot of work now and was starting to worry. People say that people grow up when they work. Is this the trouble of growing up? Xiaoye looked at Xia Qian's serious face and stopped teasing her. She sat up straight and prepared to listen to her seriously. Go ahead. Sis, when he snuggled into my arms, I felt that he had done this to me a long time ago. The goosebumps weren't the kind of disgust. I seemed to have a kind of telepathy. I felt that he had done this to me before. Do you think it's possible that he knew me a long time ago? He also acted coquettishly with me before. But I don't remember at all. I've been thinking about this question recently. Now, whenever I mention the name Qin Fian, I feel very conflicted. Sometimes, when he wakes up in the morning and stands at the head of the bed and grins at me, my brain feels like it's been hit by a stick. It hurts so much. As Xia Qian spoke, her hands were already pressing down on her temples. Xia Qian rubbed her temples. Xiaoye suddenly realized that there were some topics that she couldn't talk about. She had told Qin Fian not to mention Xia Qian's past. Although Xia Qian was often ridiculed, she was very happy. Every day, she woo you. If she remembered the fire, the heartless Xia Qian would never appear again. Qian, how many red packets did you receive at the wedding? Xiaoye changed the topic. Seeing Xia Qian's eyes suddenly light up, she felt relieved. Red packets. Actually, I don't even know how many red packets there were. Qin Fian saved all the red packets and gave me his card. Until now, I haven't checked how much money was in there. Xia Qian snorted. I wanted to save myself the trouble and didn't want to check. I asked him how much money there was, but he didn't say. He said that I'm stupid and don't know how to count money. I used to work a lot to earn money. Why am I not interested at all when he's giving me so much money now? How could Xiaoye not know that Xia Qian's pursuit of money had always been different from hers? It was already good enough that she could tell how much money she had spent and earned today. How could she ask her to manage money? That was simply daydreaming. Dream on. Then I'll have to count the red packets I receive properly. I won't be like you. When the doorbell rang, Xiaoye shuddered. She threw away the pillow in her hands and jumped off the sofa. However, when she opened the door, she was disappointed. The person who came was not Zhuang Yichen, but Qin Fian, who was dressed in a flashy outfit. Qin Fian impolitely called out, "Sister." Then, he went straight into the house, changed his shoes, and went to look for Xia Qian. Qian, let's go home. Qin Fian pulled Xia Qian. I want to sleep at my sister's house tonight. Xia Qian didn't want to go home with Qin Fian. This man must have not touched a woman for hundreds of years. Every day, after coming home, he would take a shower and press her down on the bed. They hadn't been married for long, but she felt like she was going to die every day. How can that be? When brother-in-law comes back, it'll be inconvenient for you to stay at his house. Qin Fian sat on the sofa and hugged Xia Qian. He kept winking at her, hinting that Xia Qian would be a hindrance to their married life. Xia Qian didn't understand his hint. Why would it be inconvenient? Qin Fian was about to explain in her ear, but Xiaoye said unhappily, when your brother-in-law comes back, he wants to kiss you. Your brother-in-law wants to be intimate with me. Are you going to sit here and watch? She was very upset because of Axian Man today. Now, Zhuang Yichen hadn't come back, and Qin Fian came to find Xia Qian. The young couple didn't care about her feelings at all, as a woman whose husband was not at home, and they were playing with each other. Qin Fian wanted to say that, but Xiaoye said it first, so he was embarrassed. This big sister was too bold, wasn't she? Xia Qian blushed. You can do it upstairs. I'll sleep in the guest room downstairs. Go back. If you really stay here, your brother-in-law will hate you to death. Speaking of this, Zhuang Yichen would say that he had a psychological barrier. He was even unhappy that his parents were staying here, let alone his sister-in-law. After Xia Qian was driven away, Xiaoye picked up the phone and called Zhuang Yichen. In fact, she didn't have the habit of calling him. She had been like this for the past few years, but it was different now. She was his wife. Even Qin Fian knew to stay up until midnight to ask his wife to go home, so it was only right for her to ask him. His phone was off. Xiaoye almost smashed the phone. As Qin Fian drove, he could feel that Xia Qian was unhappy in the passenger seat. She had been like this for the past few days. They had only been married for a few days, but every day she acted as if someone owed her money. She wasn't like this in the past. She was always smiling or saying things without thinking. Recently, she had become very quiet. Whenever he thought of her sleeping at his sister's house despite being married, he was unhappy. They were still newlyweds. Although they didn't go on a honeymoon, it was because Zhuang Yichen and Xiaoye's wedding was coming up. They couldn't go out at this time. If they didn't go on a honeymoon, wouldn't they still be newlyweds? Shouldn't newlyweds stick to their husbands when they are newlyweds? However, he couldn't say it out loud. He had to be more tactful. Qian, how many times have I told you? Girls shouldn't stay out so late. Did you even listen to me? Xia Qian retorted, I'm at my sister's house. What's wrong? Qin Fian choked. He pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose. It's already midnight. What's wrong with you? You're not single now. If you don't go home, Grandpa will ask all night. He will think that we fought. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 762. Hearing Qin Fian bring up old Master Qin, Xia Qian fell silent. In fact, everyone in the Qin family treated her very well. They didn't mind that she was a fool outside at all, and they all flattered her. Even old Master Qin was very polite to her. He often came over to ask her what she wanted to eat for breakfast. To be honest, she had never been cared about like this before. Although her sister's family treated her well, they had never been so considerate. Her voice lowered. I'm sorry. I'll apologize to Grandpa when we get back. Qin Fian smiled. Sure enough, Grandpa's words were useful. He glanced at his little daughter beside him. Her hair still only reached her shoulders. Her hair was not very thick. It was soft. Soft. Her hair was permed, making it look a little hairy. She always said that she was not pretty. Actually, in his eyes, she was prettier than anyone else. So what if she had plastic surgery? It was pretty good. The tip of her nose was still hot and sweaty. When she smiled happily, her eyes were still very bright. When she chewed on the candy with her small white teeth, it made a crunching sound. His heart softened. It's okay. I'll go talk to them later. Don't do this next time, okay? Xia Qian nodded. Okay. When they returned to the Qin residence and entered the room, Xia Qian was a little afraid to take a shower. Nothing good would come out of the shower. Qin Fian saw her hesitation and pushed her. Go take a shower. I don't want to take a shower. Xia Qian took off her jacket and wanted to get on the bed. It's not summer anyway and I'm not dirty. I don't want to take a shower today. If she did not want to take a shower, she would not feel uncomfortable. Qin Fian saw Xia Qian shrinking her head and burrowing into the blanket. How could she not take a shower? She was taking a shower. He pulled the blanket aside and pulled her up. You can't not take a shower. Qin Fian, my body is not good enough. I'm not good looking. Can't you find another woman to do it with? Qin Fian's face darkened. What nonsense are you talking about? She actually asked him to find another woman. How could she say something like that? Didn't she find it hurtful? Xia Qian angrily pulled the blanket over her head. She was about to cry. I don't want to sleep with you. I'm so annoyed. These words dealt a heavy blow to Qin Fian. It had only been a week since they registered their marriage and got married. It was really too fast. He thought that he had deep feelings for her, and it could even be said that he was dependent on her. However, there was no man who did not want his wife to affirm his ability, including in bed. But she said she didn't want to sleep with him. It was so annoying. She was bored with him. He wondered if she had no feelings for him. Or were they not satisfied with his ability? That day, she clearly said that she loved him when he was asleep. He was so happy that he almost strangled her to death. Every time they reached the end, he could still hear her moans. Why was it so annoying? The more he thought about it, the more he felt hurt. He pulled the blanket away and said in a small voice, Qian, do you despise me? Xia Qian turned her face away. I don't want to sleep with you. They had only been married for a little over a week and she was most afraid of nightfall. She was terrified at the thought of him insisting on taking her body. Qin Fian's face darkened. You despise me for not being big enough. Get lost. Xia Qian gritted her teeth and threw a pillow at him. Damn it, I'm so full. How big do you want me to be? Get lost. Qin Fian laughed. Not enough time. Damn it. I'm going to be paralyzed on the bed because of you. Any longer and you're going to kill me. Qin Fian was happy and kissed her face. Then why? Don't people say it's good if it's big and long? Whoever wants to do it with you, go find them. You're so bad at it. I've never experienced the feeling described in novels. If I have, it's only at the end. I don't want to endure such a long time for such a small feeling. I won't do it. Qin Fian was stunned. This was the second time Xia Qian had said that he was bad at it. He was very distressed. He felt that as long as it was a man, he would definitely be self-taught. How could there be a difference between good and bad? Anyway, every time he saw her come out of the shower and smelled the scent on her body, he wanted to roll in the sheets with her. Every time, he couldn't wait and couldn't hold it in. No matter how much she resisted, he felt very comfortable. That kind of process was indescribably wonderful. Could it be that she didn't feel the same way as he did? Qin Fian was not as experienced as Zhuang Yichen when it came to such matters. It was a sad thing for a 25-year-old man to have just started this life. He realized that he lacked understanding of Xia Qian and that matter. A man who had tasted the sweetness of sex for the first time, other than excitedly playing with his wife the whole night after he got out of bed, he didn't have any skills to speak of. Therefore, he began to realize that there was something wrong with the rhythm. He liked to discuss many things with Jiang Zhao, but this kind of thing, he couldn't possibly discuss it with him, right? It would be embarrassing if word got out. He could ask his brother for advice on how to pick up a woman, but if he had to ask his brother for advice on how to sleep with her, he would be too useless. Qin Fian sighed and patted Xia Qian. Sleep early. I'll go outside. Xia Qian hid under the blankets and didn't dare to poke her head out. She only came out of the blankets when there was no sound in the room. Could she finally have a good night's sleep? He said he was going outside. He wouldn't come in again, right? Therefore, she got out of bed, took a shower, and went to sleep. Qin Fian waited for Xia Qian to fall asleep before crawling back into bed. This time, he was determined to win. He had enough confidence. Slowly, he didn't use too much strength. His movements were extremely gentle. He watched as Xia Qian closed her eyes and moved from time to time. He was delighted when he heard the sound of something breaking coming out of her nose. He knew that there must have been something wrong with the rhythm in the past. Qian, yeah, I won't be a beast tonight. Xia Qian couldn't breathe. She opened her eyes and was shocked. Qin Fian. Be good. I'm already halfway in. Did you just realize? Xia Qian finally realized that he still had the nerve to say that he wasn't a beast. You beast. How dare you sneak up on me? You're too slippery today. Qin Fian was still smiling when he heard Xia Qian say, yeah. Qin Fian let out a cry and felt that he was satisfied. He finally knew that this rhythm was definitely correct. Don't call me beast. Call me brother. Pfft. Yeah. Are you going to call me that or not? Qin Fian, who had mastered the technique, began to use his advantage to threaten Xia Qian. Looking at her, he finally understood a truth. There was no end to learning. There were 72 professions, and each profession had its own master. That kind of thing was also a kind of learning, a never-ending kind of learning. Brother, you're my biological brother. Qin Fian's face darkened. *T, I don't like it. Lover brother. Am I right? Yeah, Xiaoye kept waiting for Zhuang Yichen. It was 3 in the morning, but there was still no call. Even though she had been pretending to be calm, she still panicked. Based on Zhuang Yichen's character, he must have had a woman outside. This person would definitely not bother to hide it from her. He had never promised to be loyal to her. After all, she had gotten her position as an underground prostitute. If he really went to find a woman, she didn't need to panic. At most, she would feel terrible. She called Li Yong. Her voice was a little weak. Uncle Li, where's Yichen? Is he with you? Young mistress, please wait a moment. I'll pass the phone to young master. Xiaoye heard Li Yong turn the door lock and then call softly, young master. She heard Zhuang Yichen ask, what's wrong? Young mistress called. Oh. It turned out that he was fine. He had made her worry for the whole night. The string in her heart snapped. She fell to the ground as if she had been sucked dry. As soon as Zhuang Yichen picked up the phone, he heard the sound of something hitting the ground on the other end of the line. When Zhuang Yichen rushed back to 9th Mansion, he found Xiaoye on the ground. He hurriedly carried her up. Xiaoye hugged Zhuang Yichen's waist and said weakly, next time when you're outside, can you give me a call? I thought something happened to you. I suddenly relaxed just now and fell to the ground. I fainted for a while and fell asleep. Brother Zhao wanted to talk to me about something. We were on a video call and my phone ran out of battery, so I forgot about it. Zhuang Yichen was also a little regretful. However, Yunyi was pregnant and Jiang Zhao had to wait for her to fall asleep every day before he could look for her. There was very little time, so when they talked, he forgot everything. It won't happen again. It's good that you're fine. I'm sleepy, Okay, let's go upstairs and sleep. Time passed like this. Zhuang Yichen went home every day. When it was time for the wedding, Xiaoya started to feel nervous. She had always dressed very sexily. When everyone thought that she would go all out, she wore a princess-style wedding dress with a luxurious handmade rice veil on her head. She had on bright bridal makeup, pink eyeshadow, and bright lipstick. She didn't look seductive at all. Instead, she looked very pure. Zhuang Yichen hugged her. The dress is so long, and it's so fluffy. It's not convenient to find a place to sneak a kiss. Xiaoya glared at him. You're so naughty. You're beautiful, my little fairy. Zhuang Yichen hugged Xiaoya, and the frame of the wedding dress tightened around the woman's waist. He held her slender waist in his hand. I really want to kiss you properly, but you have makeup on your face. I'll let you kiss me tonight. Xiaoya twisted her waist. At this moment, she looked a little shy. Zhuang Yichen's heart skipped a beat. You want to kiss me everywhere. Xiaoya's face turned even redder. Okay. He nibbled on her ear. What about mine? He pulled her hand and placed it on his crotch. Xiaoya snorted. You don't want to. Who said so? She hugged his neck. I love you. I'm willing. Zhuang Yichen smiled naughtily. Shouldn't you say that when I'm willing when we're vowing? Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 763. You know what I'm talking about, yet you're still talking about it. Ha! Tease. What about you? Xiaoya knew that Zhuang Yichen treated her differently. People like him were too lazy to even smile at others. Those love-struck women would go crazy just to wait for him to smile. She was already immune to it. Hence, she could not blindly imagine anything. She thought that he was that kind of person, but he was actually that kind of person. Zhuang Yichen was nothing more than a tall, rich, and handsome man. Look at how those women were mesmerized by him. She felt disdain in her heart, but on second thought, wasn't this D*MN man still mesmerized by her? Zhuang Yichen's phone rang. He kissed her ear and said, I'm going out to take a call, madam. Okay. The moment Zhuang Yichen went out, the bridesmaids rushed in again. The moment that guy came, he chased everyone away. However, she liked his vigor. The wind was still cold. The wind on the tall building was blowing in all directions, messing up everyone's hair. Zhuang Yichen was wearing a black suit made by Xiaoya. He looked domineering. The violet flower on his chest made him look even more stunning. Kang Yun was wearing a mid-length coat with a standing collar. She looked much more refined. Zhuang Yichen was holding the photo that Kang Yun handed to him. He was engrossed in it, but his ears were not idle. He listened to Kang Yun's narration without missing a word. Why do you think she's with you? Isn't it because your eyes look like mine? Kang Yun said faintly. She felt that after losing me, she wanted to find someone who looks like me. Zhuang Yichen was holding the photo of Xiaoya and Kang Yun. His hand tightened. This was something that he had never noticed before. He looked at Kang Yun's eyes. If he covered the part below the nose, this pair of eyes really looked like his. It was just that Kang Yun was fairer than him. Zhuang Yichen lowered his head and continued to look at the photo. He looked at the woman in the photo. To be exact, it was a girl. She was wearing a school uniform. Her long hair was neat, and her eyes were curved with a smile. Other than happiness, there was nothing else in her eyes. The first time he saw her, she had short hair and a short skirt. She sat on his lap, invited him to drink, and seduced him. He remembered that she kept staring into his eyes. It was as if she was looking into his heart. He could not help but tighten his grip on the photo. He was a substitute. Qiu Xiaoye she dared to treat him as a substitute. Kang Yun leaned against the cement wall on the roof and looked at the hustle and bustle of the city. He was not reconciled. Ever since he came back, he could not get close to Xiaoye. Zhuang Yichen always found a way to stop him. Many times, he was clearly close to her, but he was suddenly interrupted by something. Sometimes, even if Xiaoye looked like a person, he would be suddenly chased away by Zhuang Yichen's people when he finally found her whereabouts. He even received threats and threats. He was the one who proposed to Xiaoye first. Xiaoye and I have known each other for so many years. Her grades were not good, and I was the one who made up for her. Her grades were surprisingly high for all the classes that I made up for her. Although my family was against it, we were always together. Back then, my mother lied to me. She colluded with the doctor to give me a notice of critical illness. She said that I had blood cancer and could only live for 3 years at most. I loved her. I could not accept the fact that I could only live for 3 years. If I died one day, what would she do? Kang Yun's voice choked and he let out a long breath. So I dumped her in front of everyone in Ocean University. I knew that she tried to commit suicide. I was the one who asked me to follow her, so she did not succeed. She was going to cut her wrist, but because someone stopped her, she cut the area between her thumb and index finger. The scar on her hand was because of me. Later, she was hospitalized. After she was discharged, she went abroad for a vacation. My mother asked someone to get rid of me. You two were entangled at that time, right? At that time, I had just broken up with her. She only thought of you as me. Even if you only had one eye like me, it could still comfort her heart. Do you know why she wanted to be famous? Kang Yun took another breath. His eyes were full of pain. Because at that time, she only knew that I went abroad, but she did not know where I went. She went abroad to look for me. She could not find me, so she wanted to be famous. She wanted me to see her and see where she was so that I could find her. She wanted to stand at a high position so that I could find her. These were the words she wrote to me in an email. Zhuang Yichen, everything she did was because of me. Listening to Kang Yun's calm narration, Zhuang Yichen swore to God that if it was not for the fact that he did not want Kang Yun to see anything, he would definitely throw this man out of the building. No one knew how angry he was at that moment. He had touched the scar on Xiaoye's hand countless times at night. He always wondered what caused such an injury. She looked so good. It turned out that she had killed herself for another man, and he, as a substitute, had accompanied her for 4 years. His mind flashed back to the first time they met. Most of the British bars were foreigners with curly hair. He had gathered there with a few young friends because he was bored. He still felt that Asians were much more pleasing to the eye. He did not like foreign women's skin. Although their facial features were 3-dimensional, it felt prickly to touch. That kind of porcelain and jade-like skin was what he loved. She came into his line of sight because there were so many Asians abroad. In the end, she sat in his arms without looking sideways. She held 2 glasses of wine in her hands. She picked up one of the glasses and touched his chin, saying that she wanted to treat him to a drink. His friends saw that he was not in the mood at night and began to kick up a fuss. They said that he did not even dare to drink a woman's wine. He took her glass, put his arm around her waist, and said that he was not used to spending a woman's money. The wine, of course, was his treat. He remembered that she looked into his eyes as if she wanted to look into his heart. Then, she began to kiss him. Because she saw that he was so focused that it did not seem like he was playing a game. His friends began to kick up a fuss again, saying that he did not even dare to eat what he sent to his door. He carried her and left that place. When they woke up the next morning, she hugged his waist. If you are a capable man, let me be your lover, okay? He was stunned. If he did not see the red roses on the bed and felt that layer of membrane last night, he would have thought that this woman was a natural social butterfly. "What's your name?" he asked. "Qiu Xiaoye." "How much do you want?" "I don't want money. I want to be a famous designer. Can you help me become famous?" He was stunned for a moment. She was a special person. "I have mysophobia. I don't like to change female partners. Your body can't betray me. For 4 years, you can't have other men. You can't have excessive demands. I will make you famous. I will give you the house. After 4 years, the ownership will be transferred. If you want to stop early, my support for you will also stop." "Okay." At that time, she agreed readily. They had once toasted because both of them did not hide anything. It was actually very easy to find such a woman. She had always been honest. But now, this Kang Yin told him that this was the reason. Although she did not say that she had feelings for anyone, he still could not accept that he was Kang Yin's substitute. Moreover, she became famous because of Kang Yin. This damn reason. He should have confronted her and not just listened to Kang Yin's one-sided words. His heart began to turn upside down, and his mind was scattered. Kang Yin noticed his absent-mindedness. "After I went abroad for 4 years, I found out that my mother lied to me. After I found out the truth, I went back immediately. Zhuang Yichen, tell me, if I tell Xiaoye about this, will she still marry you?" Zhuang Yichen's heart skipped a beat. He looked up with a faint gaze and a faint smile. However, his gaze turned cold, and there was a murderous glint in his eyes. "Kang Yin, you can't steal a woman from anyone, but you want to steal from me." When he said this, he realized that he had always underestimated Kang Yin. He thought that he was only her past boyfriend. Her boyfriend, he treated Kang Yin like a gangster. But now, he had the urge to destroy Kang Yin's body and destroy all evidence. "You're scared, right? You must know that Xiaoye has always had me in her heart, right?" "Kang Yin." Zhuang Yichen smiled. "I'm not worried. I'm worried that you won't attend the wedding later." Kang Yin saw Zhuang Yichen's faint smile and her heart trembled. "Am I the one who doesn't want to attend? You're the one who won't let me in. Why should I let you in? Then why did you say that you're worried that I won't attend?" "I'm a conflicted person." Zhuang Yichen laughed. "I don't want you to ruin my mood, but I also want you to see how happy she looks when she's in my arms. What should I do?" Zhuang Yichen tore the photo in his hand and waved it. The pieces flew with the wind and fell into the city. Kang Yin seemed to have expected this. "I have the original." Zhuang Yichen shook his head and raised his eyebrows. He smiled and said, "I should show you our wedding photos. They're better than yours. You'll never know what kind of woman Xiaoye is after she matures, but I know. Xiaoye didn't know what a grand wedding was. She only knew that when Yi Er got married, it was such a sensational wedding in Jiang district that she was envious of. Now that it was her turn to get married, she got it too. Such a luxurious fleet of cars was the envy of others. There was immediately news on Weibo that people nowadays like to flaunt their wealth. She thought to herself, "It's not that I want to flaunt my wealth, but I'm rich to begin with." She was so proud of herself. She held on to Zhuang Yichen's arm. She saw the man turn his head to look at her. He looked so charming when he smiled. They walked all the way to the priest's position from outside the church. She knew that the ring on her ring finger was worth millions. When she said, "I do," in a choked voice, she heard him say in her ear, "Your tears of happiness are worth more than this diamond. It's a pity to let it flow out." Xiaoye knew that Zhuang Yichen treated her differently. People like him didn't say too many sweet words. Today, He seemed to be putting in a lot of effort to make her happy. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 764. She knew that there were 6 pairs of groomsmen and bridesmaids. Just the clothes they were wearing were worth at least 100,000 yuan each. She knew that the banquet was served with crystal cups flown from Italy. Thousands of crystal cups clinked in the hands of the guests. She knew that the walls and ceiling of the nearly 2,000 square meters banquet hall were decorated with red American roses and scattered baby stars. Not only were the flowers overflowing, but it was also like a girl walking into a dream. She remembered one time when Yi Er called her to complain that Jiang Zhao never sent her flowers. She even comforted Yi Er, only women like flowers. Men don't like flowers that much. Although it's a pity that you didn't get to spend them, isn't it enough that Jiang Zhao treats you well? At that time, she was in his arms. He must have heard it. That was why he gave her so many flowers, so many that there was not a single gap. She looked up at the ceiling. In the wall of fiery red roses, there were 2 figures formed by pink roses. They were so lifelike that they looked like a man and woman in love. Both of them had their hands behind their backs. They leaned forward and kissed each other. She could tell that the woman had short hair below her ears. He turned his head. I think you are as enchanting as a red rose. But others say that pink roses represent love. We don't seem to have been in love before. If we were to be in a relationship, would we be like that? His gaze fell on the couple. He asked her, do you like it? Xiaoya almost wanted to throw a punch at him. She wanted to roar and ask him if he still wanted her to get married. It was such a good day. Why did he have to make her want to cry? All she saw were the nobles, and all she heard was the wedding march played by the most famous symphony orchestra. Other people's grand weddings were magnificent, but she knew that every part of her grand wedding was a dream that Zhuang Yichen returned to her, showing off her happiness in front of everyone. The dream at night was more realistic. Her soft skin was pressed against his firm chest, and the breath she exhaled was lingering and strong. Once upon a time, she had never thought that he was a good man. But today, she thought that he was the best man in the world. The tip of his tongue between her legs teased her. Xiaoya clutched the bedsheets tightly. Yichen. Yichen, His voice was the only sound that came out of his nose. She reached out and grabbed his hair between her legs. Only when the sheets were wet did he retract his tongue. He propped himself up and kissed her on the lips. He asked her in a low voice, does it feel good? He smiled wickedly and knelt down. Without waiting for her consent, he grabbed her head and placed his already swollen head into her mouth. She closed her eyes and tried her best not to let her teeth touch him. Hearing the deep moan coming from his throat, she tried even harder to please him. Wang Yichen found Kang Yin's mother and asked her to take care of her son. It was better for her not to think about other people's wives. She did not want to make everyone look bad in the end. As Zhuang Yichen had expected, Kang Yin's mother strongly opposed it because she didn't like Xiaoya's family background. How could she agree now? This way, he didn't have to do anything. He wasn't sure what he would do if Kang Yin dared to find Xiaoya and tell her about what happened back then. But he was sure that if Xiaoya wanted to break up because of this, he would kill Kang Yin. But this kind of thing was like a curse. He had been controlling himself. Who didn't have a past? Why did he have to ask Xiaoya to do something? But at night, he couldn't help but sit up. He started drinking. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to sleep. Whenever he slept beside her, he felt that he was a substitute. He couldn't think too deeply about this problem. The more he thought about it, the more he drank. After drinking, he was half sober and half drunk. Xiaoya snatched his wine glass and asked him if he had met with any difficulties recently. Without any explanation, He pressed her against the wall and used the most realistic way to possess her. He panted. Little demon Xiao, do you think my eyes are good-looking? Xiaoye looked at his slender eyes. She reached out and touched them. His almond-shaped eyes were so charming, especially when they were on his face. When he narrowed them slightly, he looked gloomy and domineering. Yes. I think these are the best-looking eyes in the world. Which part of my face do you think is the best-looking? Your eyes are the best-looking. Your nose is also good-looking. Your mouth is also good-looking. Even the stubble on your chin when you wake up in the morning is good-looking. She kissed him. But he hated hearing that sentence the most. Your eyes are the best-looking. He let out a long breath and rubbed her chest. Give me a son. I have so many assets. You have to give me a son. What if you give birth to a daughter? Abort it. Don't you dare. I want a daughter too, but I must have a son. If it's a daughter, I'll stop giving birth to a son. She caressed his face with some heartache. She felt that he seemed to be carrying a lot on his shoulders recently. He was very tired, so she lowered her voice. Chen, you just stopped taking the medicine not long ago. He shook his head and pulled out of her body. I drank alcohol today. I can't have it. I'll stop drinking tomorrow. I'll quit smoking. Then he went upstairs, found the condom, and called her upstairs. The moment she entered the door, he buried himself in her body. Thrusting, the rainy night, the lightning, and the deafening thunder. Zhuang Yichen searched through the 9th mansion and returned to the villa in the suburbs. He didn't even care that it was past 10 o'clock. He still called Yi. Sister-in-law, did Xiaoye go to your place? Zhuang Yichen. What time is it now? Yi was sleeping like a log. Jiang Zhao picked up the phone. He was very angry. Usually, he wouldn't disturb Yi's sleep no matter what, but Zhuang Yichen didn't call him and called Yi. Didn't he see what time it was now? Brother Zhao. Xiaoye is missing. I'm very busy today. You know, we've been doing that thing recently. I didn't have time to call her. I only left the company at 8:30. I called her, but her phone was turned off. I went to her shop, but there was no one there. I've searched a few houses, but there's no one there. The staff in the shop said that she went out this afternoon. I couldn't find her, so I called her to ask if she had seen her. Zhuang Yichen finished in one breath, afraid that he would miss something. You're saying that Xiaoye is missing? Yes, she's missing. I just tried calling my in-laws, and they said that they would come to visit us in 2 days. That means that Xiaoye didn't come home at all. Brother Zhao, I didn't quarrel with her. She's not throwing a tantrum at me. That's for sure. Zhuang Yichen didn't like to tell others about his personal feelings. He hid them very well, including his private feelings. But at this time, he couldn't care less. The thunder in the sky started to rumble again. Lightning lit up the sky like a demonic magic. Jiang Zhao came out of Yi's room. He felt that this was no small matter. They're just newlyweds. How can there be so many arguments? Did you call Xia Qian? Zhuang Yichen was stunned for a moment. He was about to hang up and call Xia Qian. Don't call her. Jiang Zhao interrupted him. I'll give Fian a call, lest you tell Xia Qian everything. If she's really missing, it's better not to let Xia Qian know for the time being, lest she spreads it everywhere. But Fian listens to me. Then I'll leave it to you. Okay, I'll call you in 2 minutes. Zhuang Yichen took a deep breath. Li Yong was standing beside him. Young master, how is it? No one knows. Young master, don't worry. Young mistress might have gone to have fun. You've been married for so long and you're so busy. If she's bored, it's possible that she went to a bar or something, Li Yong comforted. Zhuang Yichen waved his hand. He took off his tie and threw it on the sofa. He let out a long breath. Seeing that his phone hadn't rang yet, he said impatiently, Uncle Li, if it was in the past, she might have gone, but Xiaoye isn't Zhuang Yichen. She's a smart woman. Everyone in High City knows that she's my wife. How could she go to a bar like that? Even if she wanted to go, she would have asked me, Xia Qian, Qin Fian. She wouldn't go alone. Jiang Zhao's phone rang 2 minutes later. Yichen, I think it's better to call the police. Fian said that Xiaoye didn't look for Xia Qian. This is a little strange. Call the police. Zhuang Yichen's heart skipped a beat. Calling the police was a very serious matter, especially for Zhuang Yichen. For people like him, it was best not to deal with the police. Moreover, he felt that the police were not as reliable as his subordinates. In addition, if there was really a problem, the police would be a big deal and alert the enemy. Zhuang Yichen told Jiang Zhao not to be anxious. He hung up the phone. He called Scarface and the bearded man and asked them to immediately release their fishing lines to fish for clues. Just as he hung up the phone, a familiar number called. He picked it up. Second brother, the man's voice on the other end was arrogant and hypocritical. Zhuang Yichen suddenly realized that something was wrong and started to be hypocritical. Big brother. You're not asleep yet. No. You can't sleep because you're waiting for sister-in-law, right? Zhuang Yifeng knew that what he said would be very infuriating, but the more infuriating he was, the more he wanted to say it. Zhuang Yichen was indeed so angry that he clenched his fists. Sure enough, it seemed that he really couldn't call the police today. Li Yong moved to his side and gave him a fierce look. Zhuang Yichen stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window with one hand on his waist. He shook his head at Li Yong and glanced out the window. Outside, there was a thunderstorm, and Zhuang Yichen could also hear it on the other end. He wasn't sure where Zhuang Yifeng was. He had been worried. Big brother, are you keeping Xiaoye for supper? Haha. Zhuang Yifeng laughed strangely. Oh my god, my second brother, you're already at this juncture. Why are you still pretending to be deep in front of your big brother? Supper. Do you think I'm such a petty person? My subordinates have been researching something recently. I think it's very interesting and want sister-in-law to play with it. Welfare, Hongcha 866. Chapter 765. Don't do anything rash. Zhuang Yichen closed his eyes and tried to calm himself down. However, his voice was still very loud and it scared Li Yong, who was standing at the side. Second brother, don't get agitated. Even big brother speaks so softly. You're being disrespectful to big brother. How can you not differentiate between the young and the old? Zhuang Yifeng spoke like a venomous snake. He straightened his body and bent his head slightly backward. He stuck out his tongue as if he was going to pounce on Zhuang Yichen at any moment. However, he kept sticking out his tongue and didn't pounce on Zhuang Yichen. What do you want? Zhuang Yichen was confused and asked for the reason first. My subordinates are researching a lightning rod. I think it's very interesting. What do you think will happen if this lightning rod is tied to a person's head and lightning strikes? Zhuang Yichen raised his hand and pressed it against his forehead. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't listen to Zhuang Yifeng anymore. What do you want? Zhuang Yichen knew he had lost when he raised this condition. I want you to come here alone. I'm at the Shirley Pavilion. You know, this is the wilderness. I like to deal with ghosts. If you bring too many people here and scare away my ghosts, I'll get angry. The Shirley Pavilion was a place where many people from Haicheng liked to hide from the cold in summer. There were relatively fewer people in winter. It wasn't a scenic spot. It was just a long pavilion that was built for the convenience of the city. On a winter night like this, there were even fewer people. However, there was a chair in the seemingly dark pavilion. A person was sitting on the chair with his legs crossed. When the lightning struck, his expression was unusually gloomy and scary. There were more than 10 strong men standing beside him. They looked fierce. Get some light so that second brother won't be able to find this place. Zhuang Yifeng smiled. A few seconds later, a few searchlights lit up in the pavilion. This way, they wouldn't have to wait for the lightning to strike. They could see 10 meters away. There were 2 shelves outside the pavilion. They were 10 meters apart. Zhuang Yifeng and the 2 shelves formed an equilateral triangle. The 2 shelves outside the pavilion weren't empty. There were 2 people hanging in the air. They were 2 women. One of them was Xiaoya. The other was Zhuang Yifeng's wife. Xian Man. Zhuang Yifeng sighed and looked at Xian Man coldly. This woman stole his secrets and gave them to Zhuang Yichen. She even dared to ruin her relationship with Zhuang Yichen. Not long ago, his men had taken photos of her and Zhuang Yichen behaving intimately. Zhuang Yifeng, Zhuang Yifeng, Zhuang Yifeng's, Zhuang Yifeng, Zhuang Yifeng's. But damn it, he had indulged this woman more and more, which led to the current situation. Xian Man had revealed the real estate company's secrets to Zhuang Yichen that the 3rd episode of The Shoreline was in trouble. Xiaoya no longer had the strength to shout. She only felt that her entire body was about to freeze. It was too cold. It wasn't even March yet and it was very cold. However, it was still raining. Furthermore, it was night time. The cold air followed the rainwater and stuck to her body, entering her skin. Now, she felt that the cold air had already entered her lungs. Xiaoya was very tired and cold, but she didn't even have the energy to shiver. There was nothing left. In the rainy night, 2 strong beams of light pierced through the layers of rain and shot towards the pavilion. The man beside Zhuang Yifeng shouted, "Take your weapons." The sound of bullets being loaded could be heard. Zhuang Yifeng waved his hand and said lightly, "Don't be like this. You're scaring my second brother. If another person comes out of his car, shoot him in the leg." Yes. 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 Zhuang Yifeng stood up and saw that Zhuang Yichen was still looking at the Bugatti in the city. He mocked, "Look at this second brother of mine. He doesn't even know how to drive an off-road vehicle with a higher chassis in the wilderness. If we bring him up a slope, he'll be useless here." The car stopped outside the pavilion. Zhuang Yichen opened the door and got out of the car. He opened the seat and propped it on top of his head. The black umbrella was darker than the night sky. The huge black umbrella seemed to be propping up a pavilion above his head. Raindrops fell from the corners of the roof outside the pavilion. Zhuang Yifeng waved his hand. "Go over and search him." The gun was pointed at Zhuang Yichen's back. Zhuang Yichen held the umbrella and raised his hand, allowing these people to search him. Zhuang Yichen's men asked Zhuang Yichen to open the car door and the trunk. After making sure that he didn't bring anyone with him, they nodded at Zhuang Yifeng. Zhuang Yifeng invited Zhuang Yichen into the pavilion. He patted his shoulder and said pretentiously, "Second brother, how many years has it been since we've had a good chat? This isn't good. Although we have different mothers, we have the same father, right? Blood is thicker than water. How can we not interact with each other?" "Big brother, you're right. As your younger brother, I'm right. I don't know any better." Zhuang Yichen entered the pavilion and stood where Zhuang Yifeng was sitting just now. There were more searchlights and they shone on the rack outside. Zhuang Yichen looked in the direction of the searchlights. He took 2 steps forward and stood in the corridor of the pavilion. He was shocked. Little man. If it was the police, then it was fine. He suddenly turned his head. His slender eyes were filled with disbelief and anger. Why is little man here? Ha! Zhuang Yichen laughed. What do you think of this gift? Are you surprised? Zhuang Yichen exhaled heavily. He gritted his teeth and said, Zhuang Yifeng, you're too much. Little man is your wife. How dare you tie her up there? My younger brother, you shouldn't talk like that. It seems like your wife is there too. This is between me and Xiaoya. Let little man go. Zhuang Yichen said sternly. Zhuang Yifeng raised his eyebrows and shrugged. You called me big brother just now. You don't even need to use honorifics now. He sighed. Sigh, it's still not thundering today. I'm so anxious. Just now, there was continuous thunder, but when you came, there was no thunder. I originally wanted to wait for you to come and put on the lightning rods for them so that you can watch a good show. Look, my second brother, what kind of luck do you have? You can't even watch a good show. Zhuang Yichen's gaze fell on Axian Man. Axian Man was hung on the rack. Her hands were tied up like Xiaoya's. In fact, not to mention the cold, her arms couldn't stand being hung like that for a long time. Hence, Axian Man and Xiaoya both fainted. However, Zhuang Yichen's voice was too loud. There hadn't been thunder for a long time, so his voice sounded abrupt. However, Axian Man was very familiar with Zhuang Yichen's voice. She slowly opened her eyes. When she saw Zhuang Yichen's figure, she still couldn't believe it. She tried to call out, Yichen. Then, she shouted loudly, Yichen. Zhuang Yichen clenched his fists. Big brother, let little man go first. How can I? I've never been soft-hearted to people who betray me. Zhuang Yichen looked at his wife who was desperately calling for Zhuang Yichen's life in the rain. He gritted his teeth angrily. I was the one who instigated little man to get the information. None of this has anything to do with her. Let her go and come at me. Although Zhuang Yichen didn't have an advantage in front of more than 10 people, he was born with a stronger appearance than Zhuang Yifeng. At this time, his words were sonorous and forceful, which imperceptibly made his domineering aura leak out. Zhuang Yifeng was stunned for a moment. Then, he suddenly laughed. You? What right do you have to ask me to come at you? You're now a doll in my hands. I can do whatever I want. What right do you have to negotiate with me? Zhuang Yichen, you actually dared to plot against me behind my back. Originally, we didn't need to put our guns on the table. Everyone was doing their own business. However, your appetite is too big. A few years ago, you killed my mother. Last year, you sent my father to prison. Now, you actually want to send me to prison. Why don't you just kill my father? You want to torture him, right? You want to use the same trick to deal with me. Zhuang Yichen, I'm telling you, I'm going to kill you today. Zhuang Yichen looked around Zhuang Yichen. His eyes turned cold as he said coldly, now, if you want me to die, it's all up to you. But first, you have to let little man go. Xiaoya felt that the rain falling on her body was getting smaller and smaller. Gradually, it lost its strength. Therefore, in her muddled state, she could clearly hear Zhuang Yichen's voice. It was like a dose of refreshing medicine. Her arms were dangling until she felt like they weren't hers anymore. She wanted to use more strength to pull them up, but she didn't have the strength. Her joints felt like they were about to be torn apart. When she was awake, all kinds of discomfort became more obvious. The sound of the rain was getting smaller and smaller. Although the visibility was still not high, Xiaoya opened her eyes and saw her husband standing in the pavilion. She was originally happy, but when she saw the other people in the pavilion, her joy was shattered. What replaced it was uneasiness and fear. She shouted at him, "Zhuang Yichen. What are you doing here? Go away, they have guns." Hearing this, Zhuang Yichen was in high spirits. Husband and wife, how touching. Zhuang Yichen didn't seem to hear Zhuang Yichen's mockery. He tilted his head and looked at Xiaoya. His eyes were deep and his thick eyebrows were tightly knitted. At night, Xiaoya couldn't see the light in his eyes. She only knew that he looked very anxious. Even his tone was anxious. "Little demon, don't worry. I'm here." Xiaoya was so touched that her eyes were burning, but she was still very worried. "Zhuang Yichen, are you stupid? He tricked you here. He's desperate." Zhuang Yichen laughed. "Sister-in-law is so smart." As he spoke, he reached out to pat Zhuang Yichen's shoulder. Zhuang Yichen's back muscles were as tense as iron. "Xiaoya and I will stay here. You let Xiao Man go." This has nothing to do with Xiao Man, but his words were heard clearly by Xiaoya as the rain gradually stopped. She subconsciously turned her head and clearly saw that Enchanting Man was also like her, with her hands tied up and hung up. Enchanting Man was also being used to threaten Zhuang Yichen. Xiaoya suddenly felt an extremely uncomfortable feeling in her heart. She finally understood why so many people were crazy about love. It was because nothing could be mixed with it. She didn't know how long she had been in love with Zhuang Yichen. She only knew that she had slowly gotten used to rejecting other men for her employer. Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 766. She could have broken up with him and found a man who was willing to marry her, but she didn't. She wrote down Zhuang Yichen's name on the paper from the age of 21 to 25. There wasn't a single gap and she couldn't write another story. She already had a career and didn't need to rely on him anymore, but she still didn't break up with him. Instead, she waited until Kang Yian reappeared. She started to understand how to compare and scheme. She used to beg for death because of love. She felt that it was impossible for her to love again in this lifetime. She found a man and asked for material things from him. She didn't need love, not even care. But she still did what she did in the past. She plunged into Zhuang Yichen's paper. But now, she understood how to compare. Compared to her and Enchanting Man, who was more important in his heart. She wasn't afraid that he wouldn't come. Instead, she was afraid that he would be in more danger if he came. But now, he was here. But he chose to let Zhuang Yichen release Enchanting Man. Xiaoya felt her entire body go numb. She was so cold that she was numb. Her hands were tied by the rope and her blood flow wasn't smooth. Her entire body was numb. Only the pain in her heart was the clearest. She had always disdained Enchanting Man's existence. She felt that she was cleaner than Enchanting Man. Although her first love didn't belong to Zhuang Yichen, she gave her first time to Zhuang Yichen. And her body only belonged to Zhuang Yichen. When Zhuang Yichen used force on her body, she felt that this man liked her. What was Enchanting Man? She was just a fleeting cloud. But if the man you love, at the moment of life and death, regardless of whether he can survive or not, chooses to give up on you and reach out to another person he once loved, how would you feel? Xiaoya couldn't speak. She would rather stay unconscious. But her heart hurt more and more. The pain made her nerves more sensitive and clearer. Okay, I can let Enchanting Man go. But give me Xingchen International. I've prepared the contract. Sign it. Xiaoya heard Zhuang Yichen say without thinking, okay. Give it to me, I'll sign it. Xiaoya bit her lips. She couldn't cry out loud. Even if he thought for a moment, she wouldn't be so sad. Because of that Enchanting Man, he had come to this point. She was just someone else's wife, it had nothing to do with him. Zhuang Yifeng shook his head and could not help but feel extremely regretful. I forgot to ask you to bring the company's official seal. It seems that today's losses are too great. He took a gun from his subordinate and loaded it. He raised his hand and looked at the two shelves, then handed a knife to Zhuang Yichen. The big man next to him immediately aimed his gun at Zhuang Yichen's head. Zhuang Yichen said lightly, "The ropes on their hands are not very tight. You can use this knife to cut the ropes on their hands." 10 seconds. Zhuang Yifeng paused and smiled sinisterly. If I can't save them, the bullets in my hand will run even faster. I hope that you can take both of them down in 10 seconds. That way, I won't owe you a life. Xiaoye thought that she was not afraid of death. After all, she had already died once. She had earned every day since she came back from the grasslands. However, Zhuang Yichen was the man she loved. Her lips trembled. Yichen. I still want to give birth to a son for you. She remembered that he had said that she would give birth until she had a son because he had a lot of family businesses. Just as Xiaoye finished speaking, Axian Man's voice, which was 10 meters away, was much louder than hers. She screamed when she saw the hope of survival. Yichen, you can't leave me alone. You said that you would take care of me for the rest of my life. Xiaoye's heart sank. For the rest of her life. Zhuang Yichen had never promised to take care of her for the rest of her life. He didn't say anything when they got married. From the beginning to the end, he only said that he would marry her. Giving her a wedding, giving her a company, giving her shares for the rest of her life. These words were really nice to hear. Begin. Just as Zhuang Yifeng shouted. The corners of Xiaoye's lips slowly curled up. She watched as the man she loved held a gleaming knife in his hand. He lifted his long legs and jumped onto the pavilion's veranda. He took a big step forward and leaped several meters. His movements were as agile as a cheetah that was hunting in the wind. He rushed out as fast as lightning, but ran in another direction without any hesitation. She saw him jump up and cut the rope that bound Axian Man. His movements were clean and beautiful. She smiled. He was so skillful, just like a professional killer. Seeing Axian Man fall to the ground, she closed her eyes in despair. It turned out that it didn't matter whether they got married or not. What mattered was whether that person had you in his heart. Xiaoye knew that she was starting to be greedy again. She was a woman who didn't know how to be content. She had money and wanted someone. She wanted a marriage. She wanted a marriage and wanted only her in his heart. The last time in the swamp, she thought that she was going to die. Her wish was to tell him that she loved him. Now that she knew that she was going to die, her wish was to ask him if he had ever loved her. You're so fast. Ha! But there are still 5 seconds left. Zhuang Yifeng's wild voice sounded. Xiaoye didn't want to open her eyes, but just as she was counting in her heart, a police siren suddenly sounded. It was a very close distance. The police siren had attracted the attention of the people in the pavilion. Something like a grenade was thrown towards the pavilion. Everyone was shocked. There's a police officer. Retreat to a safe distance. But it was just a smokescreen. The silver Bugatti's accelerator was pushed to the limit. It wasn't far from the pavilion and now it was rushing towards Xiaoye's pavilion. Gunshots were heard. The pavilion suddenly fell, and Xiaoye fell to the ground with it. Her body was covered in mud. The car's steering wheel and accelerator were in perfect sync, blocking the direction of the gun in the pavilion. Zhuang Yifeng cursed. How the F***ck did you guys search? The police siren sounded happily. Zhuang Yifeng's men wanted to fight because their car was parked in the direction of the police siren. They couldn't run away. While they hesitated, another smoke grenade was thrown, completely blocking the view of the people outside the pavilion. But the police siren was still there. Zhuang Yifeng realized that he had been fooled. They didn't shoot. Chase. We must kill Zhuang Yichen here. When they chased out, the Bugatti was nowhere to be seen. After searching around, they realized that the police siren was just a waterproof loudspeaker in the grass. It should have been thrown by Zhuang Yichen's men. Damn it. Didn't we check just now? Why is there someone in his car? How dare you trick me? Zhuang Yifeng was so angry that he roared. He reached out and slapped the man beside him. His men naturally didn't dare to say anything and lowered their heads. We did check just now. There was nothing in the car. There were a few small boxes in the trunk. We opened them all. There were no weapons or people. We even opened a pair of shoe boxes. Zhuang Yichen spat fiercely. You can't possibly hide her under the chassis of the car, right? As soon as he said that, he was shocked. Damn it. He must have hidden someone under the car. I was wondering why he didn't drive an off-road vehicle with a high chassis. Was he afraid that I would find out? The Bugatti is spacious. You guys put all your energy into the car. The person driving Zhuang Yichen's car was very small, but his facial features were like an adult's. His head was just above the steering wheel. He stepped on the accelerator and stretched his body. He looked like he was using a lot of strength to pull his body. He looked forward, but his movements were practiced and his expression was relaxed. It was a skinny dwarf. The dwarf acted as if nothing had happened and said arrogantly, "Boss, remember me if you have a job like this next time." The car was spacious. Zhuang Yichen placed Exian Man, who was shot in the arm and back, on the back seat. His eyes were cold as he said coldly to the dwarf driving, "There won't be a next time." Xiaoye sat in the corner of the car door. She looked at Zhuang Yichen, who was also covered in mud like her, turning over the tourniquet in the car. Her face was full of tears. Zhuang Yichen looked up and saw little Ye's appearance. A light flashed across his eyes. He looked at the dwarf in the front row, then turned back and reached out to touch little Ye's face. Her face was covered in tears, and her body was still wet. He propped himself up and leaned over, kissing her face. "Little demon, sleep for a while. We'll be there soon." Xiaoye said faintly, "It's too cold. I can't sleep." Zhuang Yichen did not have Xiaoye's clothes in the car. They were all soaked and could only urge the dwarf to drive faster. Zhuang Yichen invited a doctor to the villa in the suburbs. Exian Man's job of removing the bullet was also carried out in the villa. Xiaoye could not get close to Zhuang Yichen at all. He took a shower and changed his clothes. He was downstairs with a serious expression. The doctor examined Xiaoye. Xiaoye shook her head. "I'm not injured. I just need a hot bath." The maid quickly went to prepare hot water for Xiaoye. She looked worried. Xiaoye did not look for Zhuang Yichen. She went back to her room and lay in the bathtub, motionless. Zhuang Yichen returned to the study. Li Yong followed him in. Zhuang Yichen was holding an electronic sensor in his hand. Li Yong took it and scanned every corner of the study. Then, he said, "I'm the only one who can enter the study. There shouldn't be any bugs installed." "Okay." Zhuang Yichen collapsed on the sofa. He had been nervous the whole night. Now that he relaxed, his hands on the sofa began to tremble. Li Yong's heart ached. He quickly poured a cup of hot tea for him and handed it to him. The lid on the teacup was still closed and it made a clattering sound. "Young master, you usually don't get into such a fight with Zhuang Yichen. Why is it that this time, a cornered dog will do something desperate?" Zhuang Yichen lifted the lid of the teacup. He felt as if his mouth, throat, stomach, and all his senses had turned cold. Thus, when he took a sip of the freshly brewed tea, he did not feel that it was too hot at all. He placed the teacup on the coffee table in front of him. His gaze only fell on the teacup. "Uncle Lee, get more people to guard the villa for the next few days." Li Yong nodded. "Young master, will Miss Axian be sitting here? Or will we have another place to stay?" Zhuang Yichen's eyes darkened. "Arrange for it to be here. Especially her. Get more people to watch over her." Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 767. Li Yong asked again, "What about young madam?" Zhuang Yichen rubbed his chin and thought for a long time. Tomorrow morning, Jiang Zhao called. "How's it going?" "I got her back, but Axian man is also there. She was shot." "Brother Zhao, you can't get involved in this matter anymore. Otherwise, you'll be implicated. It's not appropriate to call the police." I asked the dwarf Golden Thimble for help. "If we call the police, we'll be exposed." "What about Zhuang Yifeng?" Ever since the incident in the third episode, Zhuang Yifeng has been appearing and disappearing unpredictably. He's probably desperate now. We can't fight with him openly. Go to bed early. I won't contact you for the time being." Jiang Zhao was silent for a while. "Okay, be careful." After Zhuang Yichen hung up the phone, he stood up and looked at the closed door. He put his hand on his head and rubbed it. He gritted his teeth and cursed under his breath. Damn it. Axian man was originally on the first floor. Zhuang Yichen walked around the room a few times and went downstairs. He said to the servant, "After Axian man's surgery is done, ask the doctor if she can be moved upstairs. The room upstairs is more comfortable. It's also much warmer." Only after the servants agreed with him did he turn around and go upstairs. "Young master." Li Yong called out carefully and followed him. "Will young madam think too much?" Zhuang Yichen walked quickly into the study. Li Yong closed the door behind him. Zhuang Yichen opened the laptop on the desk. "Uncle Li, after Axian man is sent up, send her to my bedroom. Tonight, you'll have to work hard. No one is allowed to go upstairs. If I need to call the doctor, I'll have to trouble you. I don't trust anyone downstairs. It's not impossible to send her to your bedroom, but young madam." "Uncle Li, there's a mole in this house." Zhuang Yichen sat in front of the desk. Li Yong wasn't calm either. "Young master, what should we do next?" Zhuang Yichen shook his head. He went online, opened his email, and started to write an email. Halfway through, he raised his head. Only in front of Li Yong could he show his fatigue. "Uncle Li, go down and keep an eye on the surgery. Come up every 10 minutes. Do this whether I'm still in the study room or not. Thank you for your hard work." Li Yong didn't ask for the reason. He did as Zhuang Yichen said. "I'll go down now." "All right." Zhuang Yichen typed the email, sent it out, and turned off his computer. He stood up, a stone weighing down on his heart. He stood in the same spot and thought for a long time. He walked around the room a few times. He wanted to kick everything in the room. After calming himself down, he walked out of the study and went through the corridor. When he returned to the bedroom, he panicked when he saw that Xiaoya was not on the bed. The bathroom door wasn't closed. He rushed over. Xiaoya felt warm all over. It was so warm that she wanted to sleep. It was like being in Zhuang Yichen's arms. He hugged her tightly and she used his body as an oven to warm herself up. However, he tightened his grip on her until she couldn't breathe. She wanted to escape, but he grabbed her neck. She saw his fierce gaze and his eyes were bloodshot. He looked like a hungry beast. She started to kick him with all her might. She couldn't kick him. Everything was in vain. She wanted to cry. She wanted to ask him why he was treating her like this. Did he love her? Did he not have any feelings at all? Otherwise, how could he be so ruthless? She started to give up struggling. Zhuang Yichen's heart tightened when he saw Xiaoya submerged in the bathtub. He bent down and scooped her out of the water. Xiaoya's entire body was drenched, and Zhuang Yichen was drenched. He placed her on the bed and began to press his hand on her chest to relieve the water. When Xiaoya woke up, she found that she had vomited water on the bed. Zhuang Yichen heaved a sigh of relief and sat on the bed. He reprimanded her, "Can you bathe with your eyes open? What's the difference between dying a little later and dying a little earlier?" Xiaoya sat on the bed. She was still naked. She wrapped a towel around her body. The room was air-conditioned. She walked barefoot on the wooden floor and walked into the bathroom. Zhuang Yichen heard the sound of the hairdryer coming from the bathroom. He knew that he didn't sound good, but he was really frightened just now. Xiaoya returned to the room. Her hair was already dry. She changed into her nightgown and changed the wet sheets. Zhuang Yichen looked around the room cautiously. He didn't feel safe anywhere. He thought carefully. What should he do? He might not be able to find Zhuang Yifeng if he took the initiative. He had to let him find him. Zhuang Yichen took the electronic sensor from the study and scanned the entire room. Xiaoya shouted, "Zhuang!" Zhuang Yichen turned around and put his index finger to his lips. He didn't make a sound and only gestured for her to keep quiet. Xiaoya was stunned and swallowed her words. Usually, his bedroom was cleaned by Li Yong and the maids. He thought that no one would dare to do anything in front of Li Yong. As expected, nothing suspicious appeared in the room. But now, he felt that he was under Zhuang Yifeng's surveillance. This feeling was too strong. He and Zhuang Yifeng could be said to be fighting to the death in business. Xiaoya went to work every day either with him or with the chauffeur at home. She would wait for him to pick her up after work. Recently, he had been enjoying this kind of life. It felt like he was in a relationship. This kind of routine was actually very safe. Xiaoya wanted to ask Zhuang Yichen for an explanation, but seeing him sitting on the floor in a daze, she didn't dare to interrupt him. After a while, Zhuang Yichen waved at Xiaoya. "Come here." Although Xiaoya felt uncomfortable, she still passed. Zhuang Yichen was still sitting on the floor. He pulled Xiaoya into his arms and started to kiss her. He kissed all the places his lips could reach. "Xiaoyao," he said in a low voice. "You scared me to death." Xiaoya's heart trembled. Zhuang Yichen said that he was scared to death. Would he be scared? She will get better. When she said this, she didn't know what she felt in her heart. It was very painful. Zhuang Yichen caressed her shoulder. Her wrist was still scarred by the rope, and she had not applied any ointment. Xiaoya didn't want to apply medicine. She felt that she would get better. In fact, she wanted to take a longer time to recover because Axian Man's injury was too serious. She didn't know what else could compare to Axian Man. Did all men like weak women? At this time, she wanted to pretend to be weak. But damn it, she was drenched in the cold rain for the whole night and didn't even sneeze. His gentle lips were kissing her wrist. "Xiaoyao, you blame me. I know. But if I went to save you, you would be the one injured now. Do you understand? I can't do that. Don't blame me." Xiaoya was in a daze. She let the man kiss her wound. After she broke free, she held his face and kissed him back. Zhuang Yichen only wanted to kiss her, but her kiss made him hotter and hotter. On the floor, she sat on top of him. She didn't even take off her nightgown. She pulled down his pants and used her softest and hottest part to devour his manhood. Xiaoya kissed Zhuang Yichen. Her body was moving. Her mouth and nose were overflowing with pleasure. But her heart was crying. The tears in her heart were like the rain at that time, falling endlessly. Why did he dare to make such a bet? Who knew if the bullet that was aimed at Enchanting man would hit her instead? The man's hand was on her waist. He held her waist tightly and increased the frequency of her movements. Then, he called her name hoarsely. A name that only he had called before. Xiao Yao. Waves of heat gushed out from their bodies, accompanied by the climax of the two of them. Li Yong went upstairs many times. After Zhuang Yichen came out of Xiaoya's body, he took a shower and went downstairs again. That night, Xiaoya didn't wait for Zhuang Yichen to come upstairs again. Xiaoya lay on the bed and did not sleep at all. Zhuang Yichen dragged a deck chair and stood guard outside Enchanting man's door. He covered himself with a blanket and slept. Zhuang Yichen was now in a villa in the suburbs. The environment was good. There were a few villas built around the lake. The greenery was excellent, and the villas couldn't see each other. The night after the rain was quiet, but Zhuang Yichen would always lift the blanket and stand up. He walked through the corridor and the living room to see what was happening outside. He turned back to look at the door that was still closed because of the surgery. After a moment of silence, he lay down on the chair again. Li Yong didn't sleep a wink either. He came back from outside and changed his muddy shoes before entering the house. He bent down beside Zhuang Yichen's chair and whispered into his ear for a long time. Zhuang Yichen frowned. Enchanting man's surgery ended in the morning. When she woke up, it was already 2 days later. However, on the 4th day after Enchanting man woke up, she got into a conflict with Xiaoya. This commotion alarmed almost all the servants in the villa. In this villa, except for Li Yong, everyone called Zhuang Yichen, Sir. Now, the servants living in the villa behind the main villa were all talking about how Sir carried Miss Enchanting into his bedroom and slept with his wife. The two women shared a husband, and his wife couldn't stand it and made a scene. When night fell, Enchanting man leaned against the headboard of the bed. Zhuang Yichen sat by the bed, holding a bowl of ginseng soup in his hand and feeding Enchanting man. A servant stood at the door. Little Ya also stood there. She looked, and her eyes seemed to have been smoked. They were hot, sore, and painful. Zhuang Yichen, this man, had never treated her like this. She knew that the servants behind her were all laughing at her. Her husband's ex-girlfriend was sleeping on her bed, and she wasn't allowed to make a scene. Zhuang Yichen. What do you want? She's your sister-in-law. Xiaoya, you can stay downstairs. Zhuang Yichen said lightly. Xiaoya felt that if she was a person who was cultivating her inner strength in ancient times, she would definitely die from the backlash. This is my room. You're asking me to leave. The servants behind Xiaoya didn't leave, and no one dared to stop her. At this moment, Enchanting man gently pushed Zhuang Yichen's bowl. Yichen, I don't want to drink anymore. I want to go to the window and get some fresh air. Okay, I'll help you up. Awesome novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 768. Zhuang Yichen had never been so obedient to anyone in front of the servants. Even if it was Xiaoya, if they wanted to be intimate, they couldn't do it in the presence of others. At this moment, some of the servants gasped. Xiaoya's fists were clenched tightly by her side. Enchanting man was indeed a woman with strong inner strength. She could ignore anyone and only had eyes for Zhuang Yichen. Her hand was still in a sling, but she wanted to get off the bed and walk around. Zhuang Yichen helped her to the window. Yichen, look, it's already so late. Why don't we let everyone rest? I want to stay here and watch the moon with you. Okay. Zhuang Yichen didn't even turn his head. He just stood by the window with Axian Man in his arms. You all go to sleep. Xiaoya, you can stay downstairs. Xiaoya gritted her teeth and said, okay. Okay, she'll go downstairs and get the fruit knife from the living room downstairs. She'll kill this shameless adulterous couple. She didn't want to quarrel anymore. There was no point in quarreling. In front of the large window, the curtains were drawn. The moon was bright and clear in the sky. Axian Man was intoxicated in Zhuang Yichen's arms. Yichen, I feel so good now. I can finally lean in your arms like this. Okay. Zhuang Yichen had a smile on his face. When he looked down at Axian Man, his face was gentle. I'll get you a cup of hot water to warm your hands. When Axian Man heard this, her face lit up with a satisfied smile. When Zhuang Yichen finished pouring the water, Xiaoya hadn't come downstairs yet. She just stood there in a daze. Her body trembled as she watched Zhuang Yichen lower his head to pour the water. The curtains of the large windows in the bedroom were drawn. It was like a movie was playing in the room. Some people were happy, while others were sad. Zhuang Yichen turned around and walked towards Axian Man, Xiao Man, water. Xiaoya saw a whole row of skincare products on her dressing table. She felt that the glass of the toner bottle must be very thick. She wanted to use that bottle as a stick to beat Axian Man to death. If she didn't die and broke the bottle, she would stab the glass shards into her body. Taking 2 steps at a time, Xiaoya walks to the dressing table without even getting angry. When Zhuang Yichen and Axian Man are 3 steps away, the sound of glass being broken by a sharp weapon is heard. Xiao Man, be careful. It was the sound of the soft body smashing into the ground. Xiaoya was shocked. When she turned around, the cup had already fallen to the ground, spreading a large puddle of water. Zhuang Yichen was already on top of Axian Man. The bullet had already hit the wall inside. Ye slept on top of the bed. Xiaoya, get down. Zhuang Yichen shouted anxiously. Xiaoya smiled bitterly. In the end, she couldn't take it anymore and leaned against the glass window. She wanted to laugh, but it was so painful that her voice became hoarse. Zhuang Yichen, where do you put me? I'm your wife. Her body slowly slid down, and there were no more gunshots. She didn't hate him for not saving her time and time again. She hated him for saving Axian Man time and time again. She hated him for risking his life to save Axian Man. Axian Man was already injured. Now that she was pushed to the ground by Zhuang Yichen, her wound was bleeding profusely again. In just a moment, the whole villa was in an uproar again. Xiaoya was Zhuang Yichen's wife, but none of the servants cared about her. After closing the curtains, they started to treat the injured Axian Man. Zhuang Yichen carried Axian Man into the study room. This side was facing the backyard, so there was no way to hide a gun. Xiaoya didn't care that the doctor wanted to stop Axian Man's bleeding and smashed the study room. She rushed in and smashed the hemostatic forceps, sutures, scissors, and gauze on the tray. She overturned the hanging infusion rack on the ground. She had short hair and wouldn't be messy. But now, she knew that she must be as messy as a ghost. Sir, madam is like this. The doctor was in a dilemma. Axian Man was bleeding profusely on the sofa, but Xiaoya was too scary. She smashed everything she saw. She just cried and didn't make a sound. Although the servants looked down on Xiaoya, since the head of the family was here, Xiaoya was like an abandoned wife. But no one dared to stand out and stop her. Zhuang Yichen frowned deeply. He looked at the people in the room and then took a deep breath. His eyes suddenly became as sharp as a knife. He shouted at Xiaoya, "Little demon Qiu. Get out. I don't want to." Xiaoya's shout scared everyone. Her voice was too loud, but it was sad. Why should I get out? All of you. Xiaoya's back was facing Axian Man, but she pointed at her and looked at the servants. Throw this woman out of the house. Little Ye felt that her heart was about to split open. How could she accept such a heartless and unscrupulous man? Although she had never done anything for him, she didn't do anything to let him down. How could he treat her like this? She had only been married to him for a month. She had only been a bride for a month, but she was like an abandoned wife. What right did he have to torture her like this? The only thing he had was her love for him. Zhuang Yichen. What do you want? I'm your wife. Axian Man is your wife. Aren't you a clean freak? If you care about her so much, why did you agree to marry me? Have you ever cared about me? Have you ever liked me? Zhuang Yichen, I love you, but I don't ask you to love me. Have you ever liked me? Just a little. Xiaoya had never thought of herself as a phoenix, but at this moment, when she thought of a phoenix crying blood, it must be like her. Every time she said a sentence, her heart would bleed, and it would fill her throat with sweetness. She felt that the tears that flowed out of her eyes were sticky and reeked of blood. She really wanted to ask him in front of all the servants here. She wanted to make it clear that he liked her before. Miss Chiu. Axian Man seemed to be enduring great pain. Yichen married you just to let Zhuang Yifeng's attention fall on you. It was just to protect me. Xiaoya didn't look back, but she trembled even more. She looked at Zhuang Yichen. She wanted to look into his eyes, but she couldn't. She saw that his fists were clenched by his side, and she could see that his joints were pale. Xiaoya looked at Zhuang Yichen. She smiled bleakly. Is what this woman said true? Zhuang Yichen frowned and sighed. Go downstairs. I'm asking you, is it true? Go down. Is it true? Axian Man's weak voice barged in again, breaking the hysteria of the two. Yichen said that after this, time passes and Zhuang Yifeng's matter is settled, he will divorce you and marry me. Xiaoya didn't want to cover her mouth, but she still did. She felt that she was the strong Qiu Xiaoya. She couldn't cry like this. In front of the people of High City, she had always been the strong Qiu Xiaoya, the cold and elegant Qiu Xiaoya, the Qiu Xiaoya with a straight back, the Qiu Xiaoya who was not afraid of rumors and slanders, the Qiu Xiaoya who could enjoy herself even if she relied on a man to get to the top. Crying belonged to the weak. Crying looked like a resentful woman. At that time, she had scolded Yi Er that tears were worthless. But she couldn't help it. She couldn't help but cry secretly. Now, in front of so many people, the servants were laughing at her, the doctors were disdainful of her, and so many people were looking down on her, she could only cry desperately. It wasn't enough. She reached out and covered her mouth, wanting to block all the sounds into her mouth and swallow them. She swallowed them into her stomach, lungs, and cells. It was fine as long as those sounds didn't come out. But she couldn't block them. She didn't cry like this even when she was trapped in the swamp. These two trampled on her. They used her. Zhuang Yichen, this trampled on her. He dared to lie to her like this. Zhuang Yichen. She called out his name, but it was unclear. You want to divorce me and marry that woman? Xiaoya's voice was choked in her throat. After a long time, she finally spoke in a trembling voice. Don't even think about it. Zhuang Yichen. You're AF * king bastard. Xiaoya felt that her mind was collapsing. She couldn't hold back her tears anymore. She was wearing slippers, so she was shorter than Zhuang Yichen. At this moment, her chest was slightly lowered, making her seem even weaker. She reached out and covered her chest. She wanted to grab the threads in her chest and pull them, but she couldn't grab them. Instead, she pulled until the threads broke. Zhuang Yichen, you lied to me. What did I, Xiaoye, do to you? Why are you lying to me? Zhuang Yichen slowly retracted his ruthless aura. His gaze became colder and colder. In the end, he raised his arms, making his posture look incomparably lazy. Little demon Qiu, what did you do to me? Do you think I don't know? Do you think I don't know that you came to me because my eyes look like Kang Yun's? Is that right? Because you were abandoned by Kang Yun, you want to find someone who looks like him to be a substitute, right? Even if it's a prostitute, you're still willing to find someone who has similar characteristics to him, right? Xiaoye was stunned. Then, her body trembled. Just as she was completely distracted, the doctor started to treat Axian Man's wound again. Zhuang Yichen saw that Xiaoye was in a daze. His eyes narrowed slightly. The fists in his arms were tightly clenched. Are you admitting to it? Xiaoye didn't say anything. The air was very quiet. It was so quiet that only Axian Man's moans could be heard because of the pain from the wound that had reopened. She looked into Zhuang Yichen's eyes. For a very long time. Zhuang Yichen also noticed that Xiaoye was looking at him. He generously allowed his eyes to meet hers. Xiaoye slowly stopped crying. Her tears slowly stopped moving forward. How did you know? Zhuang Yichen clenched his fists even tighter. Kang Yiyun and I are right there. Anyone with a discerning eye can see it. How else do you need to know? But you shouldn't ask this now. Go downstairs. Don't affect Xiao Man's wound. Are you really going to divorce me because of her? Xiaoye asked again. I'll talk to you about this when Xiao Man's wound is better. I don't have time now. Xiaoye's dried-up tears started to moisten again. Yichen. She called out these two words with a humble begging tone. Even when she forced him to get married, she also said that they would break up if they didn't get married. She had always been so tough. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 769. But at this time, she began to put down her fake pride and started to beg in front of him. Yichen, I've been with you for 4 years. No, 4.5 years, right? She took 2 steps forward and tugged at the sleeve on his arm. When she touched his sturdy arm, she leaned her face against his chest and listened to his heartbeat. She said softly, even though we didn't even have a meal or supper together in private in the past, even though you wouldn't visit me for 10 days or half a month, even though you didn't even take the initiative to pick out a gift for me and let Uncle Li do it for you, and it was only once on my birthday. But it's been more than 4 years. Other people fall in love and get married in half a year or a year. 4 years together is equivalent to half a year or a year for other people, right? What's more, we've been together almost every day for the past few months. Yichen, even if you're a block of ice, shouldn't you have melted? I'm also a block of ice. I've melted. Why haven't you melted? She thought that after losing Kang Yun, she would become ice. But now she felt that she wasn't ice. She had melted into water and was flowing out from the small hole in her lower eyelid. He pushed her away. If Xiaoman hadn't married Zhuang Yifeng, do you think you would still have a share? These bone-chilling words were undoubtedly like a vicious knife to the current little Ya. I'm going downstairs. You're not rational now. I won't talk to you. Xiaoye decided to take a step back. It wasn't easy for her to hold on to the identity of Mrs. Zhuang for 4 years. How could she give it up? How many more years did she have? No one went downstairs with Xiaoye. The servants were all fighting to curry favor with Zhuang Yichen's new favorite. They all said that they were willing to stay overnight with Miss Axian. She was so badly injured, and they were afraid that Miss Axian would be in danger again. But everyone knew that the study was facing the back of the villa, which was the direction of the servants' building. The view was very wide, and if there was any abnormality, they would be the first to notice. But even so, the servants were still willing to stay here and ask for credit from Zhuang Yichen. Zhuang Yichen kept holding Axian Man's hand and comforting her not to be afraid because he was here. What Axian Man said the most was, "Yichen, it's so good to have you around." Such a scene could be written into a sensational romance novel. Several servants were moved to tears. They felt that this was true love. Sir actually married Madame for Miss Axian. Although Madame was not favored, she was really pitiful. No one in the house had ever seen Madame cry like today. It was simply too shocking. Zhuang Yichen was the only one talking in the 90-square-meter study room. He kept giving orders to his subordinates, and even the Yong couldn't get a word in. Go and light Viney's favorite incense. It has to be calming. Move this sofa away and bring in a bed. The mattress can't be too soft, but the pillow must be soft. Xiao Man likes soft pillows. Bring a basin of hot water over. Just don't let the water temperature be around 40 degrees. Get a glass of warm water. Put 2 slices of lemon and a pear in it. Viney likes to drink this kind of water. Xiaoya was downstairs in the guest room. She didn't sleep. She just sat on the bed and listened to the servants running up and down the corridor. She sat quietly and didn't feel irritated. She was waiting for dawn. When dawn came, there might be another way. Although she never understood Zhuang Yichen, she clearly knew that she loved him. It didn't matter if she understood or not. She loved him. But how could she be such a person? She was abandoned by Kang Yun and swore that she wouldn't love him anymore. Now, she actually fell in love with another person. Was she born fickle? She loved Kang Yun to such an extent. At that time, she was sad every day. She wanted to commit suicide, to die, to never say love again. But now, she fell in love with another person. She loved so painfully and so passionately. Was she too fickle or too devoted? She should be fickle, right? Only a devoted person would love only one person for a lifetime. She loved someone so much that she would want to die if she left him. Just like how she used to love Kang Yun. Now, her heart was broken because of Zhuang Yichen. Xiaoya was thinking. If Zhuang Yichen wanted to divorce her, what should she do? Many years later, could she fall in love with another person again? Would that person still abandon her? This was Xiaoya. She was still thinking about the future at this time. She smiled. She could wait until the future. She was about to be defeated now. She wasn't afraid of Axian Man. She was afraid that Zhuang Yichen didn't care about her at all. If that was the case, even if Axian Man didn't do anything, she would still die. No wonder people said that a woman could conquer the world only by conquering a man. She couldn't even conquer a man now. The next morning, Xiaoya waited until the first ray of light shone in from the window. It was dawn. She was still sitting on the edge of the bed. At this time, she stood up and opened the door. She walked past the living room and went upstairs. The villa was very quiet. The door of the study was open. The door was stuck to the wall. It was probably to make it easier for the servants to come in and out. They were afraid that opening and closing the door would disturb the patient. The layout of the study was very strange. Because the sofa had been moved away and there was a bed. There were 2 people sleeping on the bed. Their hands were outside the blanket and they were holding each other. Xiaoya gritted her teeth and clenched her fists. Her body was trembling. She walked over and walked to the place where Axian Man was sleeping. It was because of this woman that she ruined the fruit that she had cultivated for more than 4 years. Her mind was getting more and more muddled. She took a square pillow from the bed. When she held it in her hands, her palms were full of sweat. When she covered Axian Man's face, she used all her strength. She said in her heart, "Chiu Xiaoya, you are a vicious female supporting character. No matter how much you love that man, he won't love you. You can't be the female lead. Then be vicious to the end and kill this weak female lead. Let everyone hate you. Kill this weak and lovable female lead. Let everyone curse you." Axian Man squeezed Zhuang Yichen's hand tightly. She kept struggling and kicking off the blanket. Her heels were rubbing against the bed, but she couldn't resist. Zhuang Yichen opened his eyes. When he saw the scene before him, he exclaimed, "Little demon Qiu. Let go of me." The servants rushed into the room one after another. Zhuang Yichen wanted to pull Xiaoye away, but Xiaoye turned around and bit him. She was still holding the pillow in her hand, trying to choke Axian Man to death. Pia! A slap landed heavily on Xiaoye's face. She was slapped to the center of the room. When she landed on the ground, her head hit the coffee table. There was a metallic taste in her mouth. Zhuang Yichen shouted, "Doctor! Doctor!" When Xiaoye smiled, there was blood at the corner of her mouth. She lifted her chin and looked at Zhuang Yichen, who was shouting for the doctor to give Axian Man oxygen. Before she could stand up, Zhuang Yichen shouted at her angrily, "How dare you try to kill Xiao Man? Get out of here right now. Uncle Li, throw Xiaoye out of this house. Let her go back to her own home. That's her maiden home." Xiaoye supported herself with her hands on the ground. "You're chasing me out. You're a crazy woman." Zhuang Yichen sat on the edge of the bed. He hugged Axian Man and patted her back. "Don't let me see you. Get out. Zhuang Yichen, you hit me." When Xiaoye said this, she was smiling and tearing up. She took a breath. "Zhuang Yichen, you said that you don't spend women's money. You said that you're a gentleman in front of the women you're intimate with. You said that you're no match for the women you've been intimate with. Zhuang Yichen, I'm intimate with you too, aren't I? But you hit me, didn't you? It turns out that I don't even have an intimate relationship with you." Xiaoye exhaled, "Anyway, Axian Man and I, if she doesn't die, I'll die. Are you going to protect her like this?" Zhuang Yichen didn't even think about it. He was still supporting Axian Man with one hand while the doctor pinched her philtrum. "Get out of here right now. It's harder to guard against you than against Zhuang Yifeng. Guard against me. You're actually guarding against me. You've never been in charge of your family business. You've never needed to guard against me. Now, you're guarding against me because of Axian Man." Xiaoye thought, "Zhuang Yichen, you'd better kill me. What's the difference between this and death?" He pulled her up from the position of the underground prostitute to the position of Mrs. Zhuang. But now, he gave her a kick. He wanted to kick her down and pull Axian Man up to the position of Mrs. Zhuang. His kick was going to take her life. Even if it took her life, he had to do it. "I'm still guarding against Zhuang Yifeng. At least he can't enter this house. But you, living here is like a bomb. Xiao Man can be killed by you at any time. Immediately. Move out." Zhuang Yichen's words were merciless. A servant finally dared to mock her. She said that she was thick-skinned. She still had the face to stay in this house after being scolded by Mr. Zhuang Yichen. Didn't she see that Miss Axian was taller and more beautiful than her? She was also a lady from a respectable family. Unlike her, she was a woman who relied on Mr. Zhuang Yichen to get to the top. After all, Miss Axian's father was a businessman. She could be considered to be part of a small wealthy family. What was she? She was a woman who helped others make clothes. Miss Axan and Mr. Zhuang Yichen had been together for many years. He married her just to protect Miss Axan. Zhuang Yichen, don't you have anything to say? Apart from asking her to move out, did he have nothing else to say? Zhuang Yichen sneered, you almost suffocated Xiao Man to death. What else do you want me to say? Well, don't let me see her. Otherwise, I'll kill her with a knife. Xiaoya's eyes fell on Axan Man's pale face. She believed that if she had a little more time, she could kill this woman. It was true. She would only feel better if she killed Axan Man. She had never killed anyone before. But just now, when she put the pillow on Axan Man's face and saw her struggling, her heart was filled with emotions. She was no longer afraid. Zhuang Yichen's eyes darkened, it seems. I should have thrown you out earlier. Thrown? Xiaoya stood up and slightly tilted her head. Her eyes curved into crescents, so it's an object. Uncle Li. Zhuang Yichen shouted. Li Yong quickly entered the study. He glanced at Xiaoya indifferently, young master. Xiaoya looked at Li Yong. They were really master and servant. When Zhuang Yichen was good to her, Li Yong was very respectful to her. After Zhuang Yichen had a bad opinion of her because of Axan Man, Li Yong's attitude was the same as Zhuang Yichen's. He led all the servants in the house to despise her. This was the power of power. Zhuang Yichen looked at Li Yong and said angrily, download a divorce agreement online and write her a check. Don't say that I, Zhuang Yichen, treat women badly. Li Yong seemed to be in a difficult position. He said respectfully, young master, young madam has been with you for a long time. You two got along well before. Her temper is just a little bad now. She will get along well with Miss Axan in the future. Why don't we just forget about the divorce? Forget about it. Zhuang Yichen glared at Xiaoya. She almost suffocated Xiao Man with the pillow just now. If I hadn't been worried about Xiao Man's safety and stayed here to watch over her, Xiao Man would be a dead woman now. Awesome novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 770. Li Yong was shocked. He turned his head and saw Xiaoya's calm and disdainful smile. He frowned and said, young madam, why don't you apologize to Miss Axan? Xiaoya smiled and said, apologize? Shouldn't they be the ones apologizing to me? Even the person whom Zhuang Yichen relied on the most was biased towards Axan Man. Someone in the house tried to persuade Xiaoya, madam, why don't you apologize to Miss Axan? Miss Axan was also shocked, and just now she had a close brush with death. Yisio was worse than him. Zhuang Yichen interrupted coldly, who allowed you to call her madam? The servant was stunned and quickly shut her mouth. Uncle Li. Go. Download the divorce agreement now and ask her to get lost. She doesn't know what's good for her. Xiaoya stood there and watched as Xiao Yong went out. She did not move. Zhuang Yichen, you hit me. Aren't you going to apologize? When we got married, we made a vow. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning? Zhuang Yichen asked, when you wanted to suffocate Xiao Man with a pillow, did you think about being struck by lightning? Xiaoya said, I thought about it. I thought about whether you would still recognize me when I was struck by lightning. Xiaoya's voice choked. She paused for a long time and forced herself to suppress her emotions. Zhuang Yichen, I don't know how much Axan Man loves you. I also don't know how much you two loved each other in the past. I also know that I don't have anything to give. You have everything. You don't lack anything. You don't lack women. What else can I give you? Nothing. At this point, Xiaoya suddenly had an idea. Axan Man had always been by Zhuang Yichen's side. What was she to him? Actually, in your eyes, I'm just a materialistic woman who is content with enjoying life, right? I can't compare to Axian man. She must have helped you a lot after marrying Zhuang Yichen. What can I give you? How can I help you? I've been by your side all these years. Other than letting you make me famous and let me earn more money, what have I done for you? How can I compare to her? She helped you defeat Zhuang Yifeng. Xiaoye wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She raised her head and looked at the ceiling. There was a chandelier above her head. It was very old and had a design and color from decades ago. She had once asked him why he had placed such an old lamp in this villa. He had said that he was actually a nostalgic person and that this lamp was his mother's favorite when she was alive. His mother had always been a taboo topic for him. She didn't dare to ask, but she thought that Axian man must know. Who was she? After following a man for more than 4 years, she didn't even know anything. She only knew that in the end, she was tortured by all kinds of things until her heart and soul were broken. She blinked hard and didn't want to cry anymore. She really didn't want to. Not only did he hit her, he even told her to get lost. When she looked at Zhuang Yichen again, her eyes were as clear as a mirror and her voice was calm and indifferent. You need her more than you need me. I just realized that I don't know anything about you. I love you so much. Until now, when I think about it, I still don't know what I love about you. Love your money. Don't you know that I have no lack of rich people pursuing me? I love your appearance. But is Kang Yian worse than you? Don't I have a tall, rich, and handsome man by my side? Zhuang Yichen, what do I love about you? Love that you didn't accompany me in the past. Didn't care about me. Ignored me. Didn't take care of me. Let me think, I really have a tendency to torture myself. There are so many men in the world, you're not the only one. Why should I love you? You don't love me anyway. But even so, when I was in the swamp, I still wanted to tell you that I love you. After Zhuang Yijin caught me, I knew that he wanted to threaten you. From the bottom of my heart, I never hoped that you would save me. I didn't want you to go, you'd be dead if you went. I thought that you could find a woman and give birth to a son. You have so many assets, you have to have someone to inherit them. But you went, you didn't do it to save me. Xiaoye paused and continued, Zhuang Yichen, there's always a limit to hurting people, right? It doesn't matter if you marry me or don't love me. You just have to live a good life with me. I just want a normal relationship between husband and wife. You're so rich, and I'm not an old-fashioned woman. Do you really think that I'm not fresh enough and want to have a woman outside? If no one finds out, I won't do anything. I won't investigate you. After all, there are no fish in clear water. But you moved a woman into your house and cared for her in such a way. You're insulting me, do you know that? Do you think that I've been making a deal with you for money and sex from the very beginning? So, you never needed to respect me, right? Xiaoye shook her head. Forget it. What's the point of arguing with you about this? You went to save her without a care in the world. At the critical moment, you were willing to throw me into the rain as a target. When we got home, you even put her in our bedroom so that you could see her more easily. Yesterday, you didn't care about your own safety and took a bullet for her. Now, you're with her the whole night. You're guarding her like this, and even I can't get close to her. After some time, when she recovers, my bed will be hers too. You can have it. I don't want it anymore. When Li Yong came in, he saw that some of the servants' eyes were red. Zhuang Yichen was only focused on looking at Axian man's changes. The divorce agreement was first handed to Zhuang Yichen. He signed it without even looking at it. Xiaoye saw that he signed it without hesitation. She had said so much, but he was still indifferent. The agreement was handed to her. There were hard teaching materials on it so that she could sign it while standing. They had only been married for a month, and he had already told her to get lost in front of so many people. Men were indeed unreliable. Marriage was not a reliable thing to begin with. Why did she yearn for it so wholeheartedly? If she had always been his underground prostitute, things wouldn't have ended up like this today. She didn't look at the agreement. She signed beside Zhuang Yichen's signature. Xiaoye handed the signed agreement to Li Yong. She straightened her back and returned to her usual noble and cold self. "Uncle Li, will we change the marriage certificate when we go out later?" "He probably doesn't have time to go. Why don't you come with me? You have so many connections. Maybe you can change the red book to a green one with just a call. I'll go and pack my things. Will you drive me there?" Li Yong turned around and glanced at Zhuang Yichen. "Uncle Li, go on my behalf. Xiao Man needs someone to take care of her now." "Yes, young master." Xiaoye left the study room and returned to the bedroom where they had stayed before. She packed her clothes into an oversized suitcase. She moved very quickly, as if she needed to escape from the scene as quickly as possible. But the suitcase was the largest size at the airport, and there were still many gowns that couldn't fit in it. She didn't wear these gowns much. Most of them were small gowns that she would wear to work. But there were some that she had unknowingly made for herself in the past. In fact, she had always imagined that one day, Zhuang Yichen would bring her to some cocktail party. She should have made some preparations to showcase herself properly and not embarrass him. But now, it seemed that she didn't need to use it. These memories were really annoying and torturous. Just thinking about it made her heart tremble and hurt. It was as if all her veins were being twisted. It was so painful that she was about to die. Her scissors were big sharp scissors. She used them to make clothes. Those scissors were very heavy and the blade was very fast. When she ate the cloth into the blade, there was a kacha-kacha sound. The sound was a little crisp. Shaw. Zhuang Yichen also used the same scissors. It was so sharp that it cut her flesh. Cut by cut, until she was full of holes. She threw the gowns on the floor and squatted down. They were all cut into pieces. They were so broken that she couldn't wear them anymore. Then, it was Zhuang Yichen's clothes. His clothes were basically made by her. He always took care of her business. Even the lapels of his suit were made by her. The lapels rolled over the beautiful edges. She would fold the lapels into beautiful lapels and insert them into the breast pocket of his suit. Then, his lips curled up slightly. He looked at himself in the mirror and hugged her waist. He lowered his head and licked her earlobe. "Miss Chio's handiwork is really good. I can pay more for these clothes." She cut the clothes, tie, and lapels that she made for him. They were all tattered. She held a light purple striped tie in her hand for a long time, unable to take it off. That was the first gift she had given him. Although she had made it, she had never received any money from him. It was a gift. At that time, she had been very busy ordering goods, and the company had received a batch of fabric. She thought that he would look good in a tie of this color, so she had spent a week making one for him. She was a little reluctant to give up her first gift. But there can be no construction without destruction. She couldn't be reluctant. The scissors moved once, twice, 3 or 4 times. She cut off her reluctance. There was a red 8-piece bedding set in the cupboard. If she left, would he ask the helpers to make the bed? Then, would he hug Axian Man and roll on the bed sheets? The beautiful red lace was stacked on the edge of the red lotus leaves. The lace looked very thick, like a European palace. Her mother said that Chinese people married for auspicious reasons. Chinese people thought that red was more auspicious than white. Red bedding was a must. She made it. Every stitch and thread was the joy of being a bride. There were a few times when she smiled while stepping on the sewing machine. She used the small gauze scissors to pick out the ends of the threads and cut them clean. Including the wedding dress, she hung it up and wrapped it well. At this time, her scissors joined the scissors used to cut the fabric. She cut the needle and thread that she used her heart's blood and sweat to sew. She took a lot of wedding photos. She wanted to get married only once in her life. Other people only needed to take 4 or 5 sets of photos, but she tormented Zhuang Yichen 13 sets. But now, she took out those photo albums and threw them on the bed. After opening them, she used the scissors to cut off all the smiling faces. No one could tell who the people in the photos were. Welfare, Xinwu 799. Chapter 771. The first mate's prints and crystals hung on the wall. Everything that could be scratched had been scratched. Wedding photos made of crystal were difficult to make. She sat on the floor and placed the large photo she had taken from the wall on the floor. She held the scissors in a reverse grip and let the blade scratch the surface of the glass. Since it couldn't scratch the glass, she moved the large photo to the window and knocked it against the wall. It shattered instantly. She turned on Zhuang Yichen's computer and reformatted all their photos. Finally, he saw the mess in the room. Little Ya's hand, which was holding the scissors, was already bleeding from the abrasion. Her body was clearly not thin, but when she stood up, she was as thin as a piece of paper. She felt empty. She had made such a big scene, but none of the servants came to see her. No one came to see what she had destroyed. He definitely wouldn't feel bad. If he didn't care about her, would he care about these things? What was she still waiting for? The horn downstairs had already sounded twice. Li Yong's car was ready. She couldn't wait for anyone. The marriage certificate was placed under the jewelry box because she felt that it was very valuable. She took it out and held it in her hand. In a month's time, it would turn from red to green. She had been thinking about it for so long, but it was really worthless. She had made up her mind. She pulled the handle of her luggage and was about to leave, but the marriage certificate in her hand seemed to be burning. It burned Xiao Ya's palm and fingertips. The burning sensation spread all the way to her heart. She sniffed and closed her eyes for a few seconds to calm down. Then she opened her handbag and took out her phone. She turned on the camera function and placed the marriage certificate on the bed to take a photo. She then opened the marriage certificate and took a photo of the contents inside. Xiao Yi got into Li Yong's car without saying a word. Li Yong drove slowly. Young mistress, although young master is taking care of Miss Axan now, she's injured now. You should give in to her. Xiao Yi was looking out of the window. At this moment, she was so angry that she turned around and raised her voice. Uncle Li, I've already been used badly by them. Now you're asking me to give in to that woman. They've known each other for many years. You can just say that they're brother-in-law and sister-in-law on the surface, but they're having an affair in secret. Young madam, which successful man doesn't have a woman outside? Xiao Yi had too much unhappiness in her heart. She was so agitated by Li Yong that she vomited it all out. Do you have to bring the woman home? As you can see, he's all day now. All day she was so worried about Axan man that she didn't even trust the food sent by the servants. Everyone who participated in the cooking had to taste it for fear that someone would poison Axan man. Axan man, this damned woman, is almost catching up with the Empress. Young mistress, why don't we not get a divorce first? I'll send you back to your parents' home first. When Miss Axan recovers, young master's temper will also improve. Xiao Yi felt that Li Yong was really capable. The first half of his sentence could make you feel a little better, but the second half could make you die of anger. It was all because of Axian man. No need. Let's go and get our marriage certificate changed. Let him take care of Axian man for the rest of his life. Cheating couple. Xiaoya gritted her teeth and cursed the last 3 words. She leaned back and closed her eyes. It was indeed easy for rich people to get things done. Zhuang Yichen didn't appear, but they were able to get their marriage certificate changed quickly. Xiaoya sat in Li Yong's car to send her back to her parents' home. Uncle Li, send me to Qingfeng Garden. I don't want to go back to my parents' home now. Now that I'm in such a state. She suddenly choked on her words. Xiaoya looked out of the window. She kept telling herself that she wasn't allowed to cry. She wasn't allowed to cry. If she cried again, she would change her name. But when she thought about going home and having to face her parents, she didn't know what to do. Her mother was a little snobbish, and her father was a little cowardly. But both of them loved her without exception. She didn't even dare to face Xia Qian now. Yi Er didn't dare to face her either. In what way was Yi Er better than her? Even if she was taller than her, her looks wouldn't be that much better. She was much more independent than Yi Er. Yi Er relied on men to get to where she was. But Qiu Xiaoya made so much money. What about Yi Er? Jiang Zhao kept Yi Er under strict control and didn't allow her to show her face in public. Opening a dance studio for a month might not even make as much money as she made in a day. Wasn't it just because she had Jiang Zhao doting on her? Was that a big deal? Was that a big deal just because she found a good man? In what way was Qian Qian better than her? Qian Qian caused trouble all day long. Wasn't it just because she saved Qin Fian when she was 12? Qin Fian pretended to be gay for her for more than 10 years. No matter how stupid she was, he always said that it was because she was innocent and wasn't as scheming as women these days. Wasn't it just because she had Qin Fian doting on her? Was that a big deal? If she found a good man, would all of them lead a better life than her? Xiaoya covered her mouth and sobbed, Uncle Li, I'm going back to Qingfeng Garden. Okay, young mistress. Just call me Miss Qiu like before, Li Yong said. Li Yong said, Miss Qiu, I'll get someone to clean up Qingfeng Garden for you later. It's okay. I have nothing to do right now. I'll clean it myself. Xiaoya was a designer and was lazy as hell. She never wanted to do the cleaning herself. When she used to live in Qingfeng Garden, her mother would clean it for her every week. Usually, there would be a part-time cleaner who would clean it every other day. Xiaoya knelt on the floor and wiped it over and over again. She even washed the bed sheets. She didn't move her luggage out and left it at the door. Under the night sky, she drew the thick curtains but pulled the gauze back. As she lay on the sofa in the living room, she thought about how many times he had showered early and waited for her. The moment she entered the house, he would pounce on her like a wolf. He was a clean freak and would throw her into the bathroom to shower. She had exchanged her body for this house. It was a duplex with 2 floors. Other than coming to sleep with her, he would never come here. Her hand was injured, but when she was cleaning today, she didn't wear gloves and didn't feel the pain. Now, she felt that the wound had turned white. Her immune system was really good. She didn't even have an infection or a fever. Why did Yi Er always end up in the hospital and make Jiang Zhao's heart ache? Everyone had different lives, right? Although Yi Er's father was dead and her mother had gone crazy, she still had a younger brother. Jiang Zhao loved her so much. Even when she called him after 10 at night, Jiang Zhao would yell at her. He was very protective of her. It was as if Yi Er was the only woman in the world who could get pregnant. Was it a big deal? She wanted to call Yi Er and tell her everything, but she realized that she couldn't bring herself to do so. She was pregnant. Why would she call her and tell her these things? Her crying made the pregnant woman's mood bad. When the time came, Jiang Zhao would snatch the phone and yell at her again. Xiaoya felt that she was going to explode from holding it in. It was as if there was a bomb in her body. However, she kept her mouth shut, covered her ears, closed her eyes, and held her breath. Her 7 orifices were tightly shut, and the bomb was kept in her body. It exploded until her organs were rotten. Lilia tossed and turned on the sofa as if she had gone mad. She grabbed her hair and bit her lips so hard that they started to bleed. When she cried out, the room that she had cleaned up started to echo. It was as if there was a vengeful spirit in the room. Anyone who heard it would shed tears. Zhuang Yichen. You scum. Scum. Ah. She cried for a long time before she stopped. She wanted to go out for a walk, but she couldn't stand up. Her whole body was weak. After thinking about it, she didn't dare to go out. Every time she walked along the corridor, she would think about where he had been in this building. A place filled with memories was really scary. It was as if there were ghosts everywhere. Xiaoya made one last call. Although she knew that it was very late, she still made a call. The call was a random ringtone. After a while, the person on the other end picked up. Boss Chiu, it's so late. Why are you calling me instead of discussing with your son-in-law how to have a baby? Xiaoya sighed. This was her mother. Mrs. Chiu, I want to tell you something. Huh? Mom. Mrs. Chiu sensed that something was wrong. Boss, did Zhuang Yichen bully you? Mom, I want to ask you. Have you always wanted me to marry a rich man? As long as he's rich, I can do anything. Xiaoya looked at the ceiling. Her tears fell again. Of course it's good to be rich. With money, you can do anything. Is being rich better than being happy? With money comes happiness. Don't you know that? Look at the life you're living now. So many people are jealous. Mom, I'm telling you. You're not allowed to make a fuss. You're not allowed to scold me. You're not allowed to tell anyone. Xiaoya sobbed. Mrs. Chiu was frightened. In Xiaoya's life, she rarely called her mother Mom. She usually called her Mrs. Chiu. What is it? Promise me. I promise you. Mom, I'm divorced. Zhuang Yichen gave me a check. It's a lot of money. Does being rich bring happiness? I'll give you the check. Mom, don't say anything. Let me finish. You don't want me to die for another man, right? Then you mustn't look for him. Don't look like you've been bullied when you go looking for him. Don't look like he owes me when you go looking for him, Mom, okay? He doesn't owe me anything. Mrs. Chiu was silent for a long time. Then she said firmly, I can't do it. Then go look for him. Then I'll jump off the building. Xiaoya. Mom, leave me some dignity. I didn't tell anyone, not even Qian. The reason why I told you, Mom, is because I don't know whose arms I should lean into. Mom, I want to leave High City. Please help me. I can't stay here any longer. I can't stay here for another minute. I want to leave quietly. Xiaoya didn't know if this was the right thing to do. She only knew that she had already let go of all her dignity. She didn't want anyone to look for Zhuang Yichen again. She knew her mother well. If Kang Yun hadn't disappeared, her mother would have taken a knife and killed someone. She wasn't 20 years old. Not everyone would die for love. Welfare, Hongcha 866. Chapter 772. She didn't have the courage to die for him every single time. She was becoming more and more realistic, but everything was just a cycle. Xiaoya raised her hand in the air and looked at her palm. The mottled wounds weren't even swollen. She wanted to see her palm lines clearly. But she couldn't see them clearly because they were blocked by the wounds. She wondered if her palm lines were different from Yi Er's and Xia Qian's. That was why her life was so difficult. Zhuang Yichen didn't leave Axian Man's side. Even when Xiaoya left, he didn't go to see her. He left the company's affairs to Li Yong. He would discuss and decide on the important matters first. The maids kept changing shifts to serve Axian Man. Zhuang Yichen saw that Axian Man had fallen asleep. He paced around the room anxiously. Seeing that Axian Man wasn't moving at all, he took out a cigarette and lit it. He took a few deep puffs and said, "Didn't the doctor say when she would recover?" The maid frowned and said respectfully, "Sir, you were always there when the doctor was there." "I might not have been there at that time." Zhuang Yichen shouted angrily, "What do you mean by that?" "Ha! I can't even ask you that." The maid trembled. Sir, that's not what I meant." "No, I really wasn't there at that time." "Really?" The room was filled with smoke in no time. Axian Man choked on the smoke and coughed violently. Zhuang Yichen took another deep puff before throwing the cigarette butt into the ashtray. He didn't extinguish it. He helped Axian Man up and patted her back. "Little man, I'm sorry. I thought you were asleep, so I smoked." Axian Man's coughing stretched her wound. Soon, the back of her arm began to bleed again. Zhuang Yichen shouted anxiously at the maid. "Hurry up and get a glass of water for little man. I'll go over to the room to get some cough syrup." Okay. The maid hurried to get a glass of water for Axian Man. Zhuang Yichen put Axian Man down. "I'll be right there. I drink that every time I cough." Axian Man's eyes were filled with comfort. She felt that Zhuang Yichen had never treated her so well in her entire life. Even when they were together before, he had never cared for her like this. Was it really because she was injured that he could treat her like this? She would rather never get better. Zhuang Yichen left the study and finally entered the bedroom. He turned on the lights, but the curtains were still closed. He held his forehead and looked at the mess in the room. His fists were clenched so tightly that they were trembling. Photos, photo frames, bed sheets, clothes, nothing was good. The wardrobe door was still open. His body swayed, and he leaned against the wall. After taking a few deep breaths, he went to the bedside table to grab a syrup and left the bedroom. At this time, the servant was supporting Axian Man and feeding her water. Zhuang Yichen did not say anything. He rushed over and punched the servant. "Who the hell allowed you to touch her?" The servant was shocked. Seeing Zhuang Yichen's bloodshot eyes, he was extremely terrifying. He immediately trembled in fear. "Sir, Miss Axian is injured. She can't sit up. Don't you know how to call me?" Zhuang Yichen punched him again. He stood up and pulled the man up from the floor. Then, he threw him onto the coffee table. "How dare you touch my woman? Who do you think you are?" "Sir, I just helped her up." "Just helped her up." Zhuang Yichen's voice was filled with rage. His eyes were cruel, and his fist was fierce. Everyone who heard the news was shocked. They thought that Zhuang Yichen went to get syrup for Miss Axian and came back to see the servant helping Miss Axian up. He was furious. Everyone knew that Zhuang Yichen was a clean freak, but this was too much. In the past, Madame could not avoid any physical contact with the servants. This was simply too much of a possessiveness. Zhuang Yichen's villa was like a gossip center. Every day, there were more interesting comments than the entertainment newspapers. When Li Yong pulled Zhuang Yichen away, the servant who was badly beaten up was carried out for a doctor to check. Zhuang Yichen seemed to be still angry. He pushed Li Yong away and pulled out another man. He punched him. "What are you doing here? Didn't you see that Xiao Man was coughing? Don't you know to find a doctor?" The servants retreated in fright and swarmed to find the doctor. Li Yong felt that something was wrong. When the servant went downstairs, he quickly opened the door to the bedroom that the servant mentioned. Sir went to the bedroom to get syrup for Miss Axian. The moment he opened the door, he immediately closed it. Li Yong knew that it was over. This time, everyone in the house would not have a good life. Sure enough, Axian Man's back was bleeding again. Zhuang Yichen picked up something and threw it at the people who came in. When Axian Man coughed, whoever came in was beaten up. It was not even midnight. Only the doctor, Li Yong, and some other women were not beaten up. Zhuang Yichen said that if the doctor could not stop Axian Man's bleeding and make her recover, he would not let him go. A week later, Axian Man got better. She could get out of bed and go downstairs. Zhuang Yichen suggested to take her out for a walk. Li Yong hurriedly said, "Young master, Miss Axian just recovered. It's not suitable, right?" However, Zhuang Yichen hugged Axian Man and said gently, "Xiao Man must be tired from staying in this house. Tomorrow, I'll take you to Clubhouse A. You must have not been there for a long time. I remember that you liked the cocktails there." Li Yong was very worried. He wanted to stop them, but there were spies everywhere in this house. If they went out today, wouldn't it be too rushed? Clubhouse A was a high-end clubhouse in Haiqing. It only accepted billionaires. Even the so-called bodyguards were not allowed to enter. If Li Yong followed, he could only stay in the sub-district. The main district was full of rich businessmen and high-ranking political officials. Li Yong obviously realized that Zhuang Yichen could no longer control his emotions. These few days, he was so angry that he probably did not want to send Zhuang Yichen to prison. Li Yong could usually understand what Zhuang Yichen wanted to do. "Young master, Miss Axian's wound is still a little painful. She can't drink. Why don't we wait for a while?" Zhuang Yichen ignored Li Yong. His eyes were dark. He lowered his head and touched Axian Man's forehead. "Xiao Man, do you want to go out for a walk?" "Yichen, I really want to go out for a walk. I'm going crazy staying at home." Axian Man naturally called Zhuang Yichen's villa home. She did not even notice the flash of hatred in Zhuang Yichen's eyes. Mama Chiu finally came back from her cousin's house. She wrapped the new household register, ID card, and bank card in a handkerchief. The handkerchief was a piece of cloth that Mama Chiu had taken from Xiaoya. It was not as fine as the machine that Xiaoya used, but the handkerchief was very delicate. It was like a small fan that was connected together. The handkerchief was red. Mama Chiu said that it was auspicious. Papa Chiu remained silent. "Eldest sister, you're so fast." "Yes." Mama Chiu replied in a choked voice. "Old Chiu, do you think eldest sister will seek death this time?" "She won't." Papa Chiu stood at home. He wanted to take something, but he did not know what to take. "She asked you to change her identity and go far away. It means that she wants to start a new life. Why would she seek death? You have to believe in eldest sister. But there's only 500,000 in this card. Is it enough for eldest sister?" Mama Chiu held the handkerchief wrapped in the handkerchief. She raised it and wiped the tears from her eyes with the back of her hand. "You said that she has been extravagant these past few years. Sometimes, a random outfit costs 500,000. But I haven't cared about her money all these years." Xiaoya asked Mama Chiu to withdraw the money from the family account and deposit it in her new name and account. There was no need for any financial transactions. She even went to see her aunt directly. She did not call in advance. She did not choose to board a plane with her ID card. Sigh, don't worry about that. Eldest sister is good at cooking. She won't starve anywhere. Papa Chio forced himself to comfort Mama Chio. Actually, he was more frightened than Mama Chio. He only had one biological daughter. No matter how close Xia Qian was to them, she was not their biological daughter. It was hard to explain. Mama Chio was in charge of everything in the family. Papa Chio felt even more uneasy when he saw Mama Chio cry. By the time Xiaoya returned home, it was noon. Mama Chio had already prepared lunch. At the table, Xiaoya ate whatever she liked. No one said a word. It was useless to say anything. Every time someone spoke, they would cry. After lunch, Mama Chio cleared the dishes. When she came out, she saw Papa Chio sitting on the sofa with a remote control in his hand. Xiaoya was sleeping on the sofa with her head resting on Papa Chio's lap. Mrs. Chio looked at her husband. Her face was wet, but she didn't cry. Tears flowed down her husband's cheeks to the bottom of the stool. Drops of tears fell on the shirt over his chest, wetting a large patch. Papa Chio sat there and Xiaoya continued sleeping. She slept until the next day. Xiaoya did not take anything with her when she left. She only took $10,000 in cash, a new identity card, a household register, and even a change of clothes. She gave her bank card to Mama Chio. You can spend the money however you want. I earned it all. But don't use your identities or transfer the money from this card to my new one. I'm sure I'll have a good life outside. Yes, yes. Is 3 years enough for you? You must come back to visit me in 3 years. Xiaoya nodded. She carried her backpack and hugged Mama Chio's head before she left. Mama, don't bully Papa anymore. Mama Chio slapped Xiaoya's butt and said, You little brat. You always favor your Papa. I didn't bully him. He's the one who bullies me. Okay. I'll let Mr. Chio bully you more in the future. The family of 3 laughed as they went downstairs. Xiaoya did not drive, so Papa Chio flagged down a taxi for her. Before they got into the car, Xiaoya said to Papa Chio, Mr. Chio, no man in this world can compare to your embrace. It's so comfortable to sleep in. Ask Mrs. Chio to massage your legs. I'll leave you and your husband alone. Ha! There were many famous people in Clubhouse A, but Zhuang Yichen was not in the mood to socialize. He stayed by Axian Man's side. Axian Man was wearing an elegant gown with a V-neck. It made her look elegant. Zhuang Yichen's eyes never left her. Everyone knew that Axian Man was Zhuang Yifeng's wife. But the two of them appeared in Clubhouse A in such a high-profile manner. While they were talking and laughing, there was a murderous vibe in another place. A powerful novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 773. Zhuang Yifeng was completely overwhelmed by his rationality. Axian Man had betrayed him. Zhuang Yichen had kicked his wife away and snatched his woman away. The news that he received every day made him want to kill Zhuang Yichen immediately. Anyone who betrayed him must die. Zhuang Yichen, he should make his brother's life a living hell. Even if he wanted Zhuang Yichen to die, he should let the people he cared about die before he did. He must clearly see the pain in Zhuang Yichen's eyes. Zhuang Yichen had killed his mother and caused his father to go to jail. How could he not take revenge? Axian Man, no matter how much he loved her, had already betrayed him. Zhuang Yichen had protected her so well and didn't bring her to any dangerous places. But he wanted her dead. If Axian Man died, Zhuang Yichen would be heartbroken, right? Thinking of this, Zhuang Yifeng laughed wildly. He shouldn't have set his sights on Qiu Xiaoye. He was so stupid. From the first time he found out about the relationship between Qiu Xiaoye and Zhuang Yichen, he should have known. Zhuang Yichen wanted to push away Qiu Xiaoye's hand in front of Axian Man. At that time, he should have realized that Zhuang Yichen was afraid that Axian Man would be jealous. No wonder Qiu Xiaoye was beaten and chased out. She actually wanted to kill Axian Man's Sai. Qiu Xiaoye was too disappointing. She actually didn't suffocate the B***starved to death. Useless woman. Her man brought another woman into his house, but she didn't even have the ability to kill the B***starved. She deserved to be abandoned. She deserved it. He couldn't even be bothered to look at such a weakling. When Club A welcomed another VIP, Zhuang Yifeng, the rich businessmen who wanted to leave also pushed aside their business and shamelessly wanted to stay and watch the show. The drama of two brothers fighting over a woman must be very exciting. Zhuang Yichen couldn't wait for Zhuang Yifeng to come. He didn't want to waste another day. The schemes he had set up and manipulated in the past were too slow. A judicial process could take a few days, and it couldn't be decided in a short period of time. He had already lowered his requirements and didn't want to torture anyone. It was fine as long as Zhuang Yifeng died. Once Zhuang Yifeng died, there was nothing to worry about. When Li Yong heard that Zhuang Yifeng had also come, he couldn't help but tremble. He walked to the southeast direction of the clubhouse, clasped his hands together towards the sky, closed his eyes, and said in his heart, "Miss, you must bless him. You only have one seedling. I've taken care of him for so many years. At this time, you must help him and end his sleepless nights." The image of a young girl appeared in Li Yong's mind. He followed behind her, watching her try on the wedding dress and put on the wedding dress. He sighed in his heart. It was all in the past. Zhuang Yichen was in a well-ironed suit. Zhuang Yichen hugged Axian Man and chatted happily. "Axian Man, come here." Zhuang Yichen stood less than 2 meters away from Zhuang Yichen and lifted his chin at Axian Man. Zhuang Yichen smiled and hugged Axian Man even tighter. "Brother, Xiao Man doesn't want to go over. She's still my wife. Xiao Man said that she wants to divorce you and marry me." Zhuang Yichen turned his head and asked in a low voice, "Xiao Man, are you willing?" "Yichen." Axian Man's eyes were filled with tears. "Yichen, I'm willing." Zhuang Yichen's gaze on Axian Man became deeper and deeper. He was thinking, this woman had been with him for so many years. When had she ever been like this? Zhuang Yichen was indeed having an affair with her behind her back. No wonder Qiu and Xiaoye scolded Zhuang Yichen like that in the listening device in Li Yong's car. Indeed, this adulterous couple. Even Li Yong advised Qiu and Xiaoye to give in to Axian Man. "Axian Man, Axian Man, Zhuang Yichen, have treated you well. Divorce? Axian Man, can you afford it? With me around, no matter how expensive the marriage is, she can afford it." Zhuang Yichen arrogantly interrupted. Zhuang Yifeng approached step by step. Zhuang Yichen knew that everything was about to end. He wanted to end everything. Immediately. Immediately. Zhuang Yichen was actually already entangled in the lawsuit. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhuang Yichen had hidden Axian Man so well and suddenly let her out in such a high-profile place to be intimate with her, he wouldn't have come out himself. He would have asked his subordinates to kill Axian Man and let Zhuang Yichen suffer. But this was the main area of this place. Other than him, no one else could enter. In such a short period of time, he couldn't create a billionaire identity for an assassin, but he wouldn't let go of such an opportunity. Since the assassins in the main area couldn't enter, then he would do it himself. If he continued to listen to his informant talking about how Zhuang Yichen doted on Axian Man, even if he didn't die, he would go crazy from anger. He actually realized that his mental state had been very bad recently. A man's jealousy and possessiveness would always have no bottom line. Just like when Zhuang Yichen pulled out the gun and aimed it at Enchanting Man. A quick and accurate shot hit Enchanting Man's chest. Enchanting Man looked at Zhuang Yichen in disbelief. Her eyes widened. She couldn't believe that a gunshot would happen in such a place. She was too confident and thought that even if Zhuang Yichen wanted to kill her, he wouldn't do it himself. So when she stood beside Zhuang Yichen, she wasn't afraid at all. Who would have thought that Zhuang Yichen would kill a woman in such a place with so many rich people? But Zhuang Yichen knew that Zhuang Yichen would definitely do it. All of Zhuang Yichen's ideals and revenge was to make him suffer, to make him live in pain for the rest of his life. So when he rushed towards Enchanting Man with a dagger to cut the rope, Zhuang Yichen shot at Enchanting Man himself. What did he mean by, if he couldn't save someone in 10 seconds, they would have to eat bullets? He wasn't sure if those who couldn't be saved in 10 seconds would have to eat bullets. But those who could be saved in 10 seconds would definitely have to eat bullets. He was 10,000% sure. Zhuang Yichen was suspicious and jealous by nature. Those conditions and requests were just empty words. Zhuang Yichen had always been a person who didn't keep his promises. Gunshots rang out, followed by screams and the sound of people fleeing. When Zhuang Yichen heard Enchanting Man calling for him, he didn't turn back. It was as if he didn't want to leave. He just locked his cold gaze on Zhuang Yichen. As if he had already seen the steps clearly, he turned sideways to avoid Zhuang Yichen's gun. His movements were fast and ruthless. He didn't kick Zhuang Yichen's hand, nor did he chop Zhuang Yichen's wrist with his hand. He had such skills, but he didn't do it. Instead, he grabbed Zhuang Yichen's wrist and let the gun swing around, pointing it in his direction from time to time. Some daring people had already taken out their phones to record a video. They were all worried for Zhuang Yichen. They felt that the gun had no eyes. If it accidentally fired, it could blow up Zhuang Yichen's head and cause his brain to splatter everywhere. Others thought that there were no cameras here, but Zhuang Yichen knew that there would definitely be cameras in the position he was facing. His camera of the unparalleled beauty was also hidden very well. Zhuang Yichen's intention to kill Zhuang Yichen was very obvious. The bullet whizzed past Zhuang Yichen's ears and shattered the wine cabinet behind him. The glass shattered, and the floor was covered with glass shards. However, no one dodged. Zhuang Yichen put himself in a dead end. His finger was stuck on the trigger so that he couldn't pull it, but he kept swinging the gun towards his head. Enchanting Man had already fallen to the ground. Blood stained her lotus-colored dress. Someone called the police and an ambulance, but no one dared to help her. They were afraid that they would be accidentally injured by the bullet. The club's security rushed over. Li Yong heard the gunshot again in the secondary area. He stood in the middle of the main area and the secondary area, where he couldn't get close to. He knelt on the ground with tears rolling down his face. He looked up and shouted sadly, "Miss." Zhuang Yichen pressed on the trigger tightly and leaned against the wine cabinet. Zhuang Yichen once again aimed the gun at Zhuang Yichen's chest. Just when everyone thought that Zhuang Yichen was dead, the gun turned around in an instant. Zhuang Yichen's left chest was shot precisely where his heart was. Although Zhuang Yifeng had already been shot, blood suddenly spurted out and stained Zhuang Yichen's suit and shirt. After a moment of shock, he smiled provocatively and said, "Zhuang Yichen, you can live in pain. Enchanting Man probably won't be able to survive." Zhuang Yichen chopped off the gun that was still in Zhuang Yifeng's hand. He leaned his head forward and whispered into Zhuang Yifeng's ear, "Enchanting Man is your wife. Of course, she should accompany you. My woman is unharmed now." Zhuang Yichen smiled mysteriously. Zhuang Yichen's body, which could barely stand, suddenly shook. He staggered back a few steps and covered his chest that was spurting blood like a fountain. He raised his other hand and pointed at Zhuang Yichen. You tricked me. Zhuang Yichen refused to admit it. Until now, he still refused to admit it. Not only did he hear everything that happened in Zhuang Yichen's residence every day, but he also had someone reporting to him. How could he be wrong? There were no less than 3 spies in the villa. How could Zhuang Yichen escape his eyes? That day, when the assassin aimed at Exian Man, he clearly saw Zhuang Yichen push Exian Man down and leave Qiu Xiaoya at the side. He heard with his own ears that Zhuang Yichen hit Qiu Xiaoya for Exian Man. He heard with his own ears that Qiu Xiaoya smashed things and scolded Zhuang Yichen as a bastard. He even heard Li Yong sending Qiu Xiaoya to get her divorce certificate. At the Civil Affairs Bureau, his men followed Qiu Xiaoya. He also said that even at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Li Yong advised Qiu Xiaoya to treat Exian Man better and not be too calculative. After all, Exian Man and Zhuang Yichen had been together for many years. How could he be wrong? Qiu Xiaoya clearly looked like she was really dumped. His men said that when Qiu Xiaoya came out of Qingfeng Garden, she was as thin as a ghost. Her hair was messy and her face was dirty. Her eyes were swollen and bruised. She even asked him if he wanted to get rid of Qiu Xiaoya. A woman who was tortured by Zhuang Yichen to such a state should be his friend. How could he get rid of her? Zhuang Yichen must be lying to him. He looked at Zhuang Yichen's cold lips and shook his head. I don't believe you. Zhuang Yichen, I don't believe you. You installed more than 30 listening devices in my house and every car. You even asked so many people to follow Uncle Li. If I didn't do that, how could I repay your kindness? Zhuang Yichen, you've been playing with me since it rained that night. Ha, do you think I don't know you? Even if you wanted me to die, you would kill the most important person to me before I die. Uncle Li, you won't succeed so easily. He guards against you like he's guarding against a wolf. He always has a high sense of safety. Zhuang Yichen patted his sleeves. Forget it, I'll call an ambulance for your wife. Isn't it better if she can't be saved? Then you won't be lonely. Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 774. Exian Man fell to the ground and had no strength to stand up. When she heard Zhuang Yichen's words, her blood started to flow faster. Zhuang Yichen, you used me. Sigh. Zhuang Yichen shook his head and looked disdainfully at the woman on the ground. He didn't even want to bend down to look at her. Sister-in-law, I'm a clean freak. I won't want a woman who has been slept with by someone else. I didn't hate you at first, but I've been hugging you all this time. It's making me hate you. But fortunately, you're here. Otherwise, I don't know when the woman lying on the ground would be my little demon. Ha, it's finally over. Exian Man's body twitched violently. She already had a gunshot wound, so she started to vomit blood. Zhuang Yichen didn't want to pay any more attention to her. He had to leave quickly. But just as he took a step, the security guards arrived. They hoped that he wouldn't leave for the time being and wait for the police to arrive. After all, he was the victim. When the police arrived, Zhuang Yichen was asked to give a statement. Zhuang Yichen had no choice but to cooperate. Zhuang Yichen, now that Zhuang Yifeng was shot in the exact location of his heart, he died. You're responsible for it. A young policeman with a strong sense of justice asked without caring about anything else. I was acting in self-defense. Everyone at the scene saw it. Zhuang Yifeng shot his wife and aimed at me. Of course, I couldn't let myself get hurt. You could have aimed at his heart in self-defense. Aimed? Zhuang Yichen shrugged and pretended to be shocked. Officer, I was scared to death at that time, but I still had the mood to aim. Everyone was moving around. It was purely an accident. I only thought of self-defense and didn't think of anything else. Your self-defense caused the other party's death. That's excessive self-defense. Officer, I deserve to be blamed for the bullet that entered my head. I gave him a push and loosened my grip. He pulled the trigger himself and accidentally killed himself. Am I considered excessive self-defense? When my life was hanging by a thread, I had to choose a place to push the muzzle of the gun. I think you should be glad that he didn't accidentally aim his gun at anyone else in the clubhouse when he hurt me, right? I still have other matters to attend to. If my defense is excessive, you can come and look for me at any time. That's all I know. You can go and get the video from the club. There are many people at the scene who took videos with their phones. I don't mind you trying the case in public. I'd like to see if anyone will come and crusade against you when you say that my defense is excessive. Zhuang Yichen was not in the mood to waste time in the police station. Anyway, he was not afraid if they really investigated. The person recording Zhuang Yichen's statement could clearly sense Zhuang Yichen's impatience. An experienced police officer nudged the rash police officer and told him not to ask any more questions. All he could do was to sort out the evidence first before contacting him. When Zhuang Yichen came out of the police station, Li Yong's car was already waiting at the entrance of the police station. Seeing him get into the car, she smiled and said, "You're not hurt at all." "That's great. Uncle Li, you're worried." Zhuang Yichen picked up the clothes in the car and changed out of the dirty clothes he was wearing. He drove the car to a trash can and threw the dirty clothes in. "I knew Miss wanted to protect you. Uncle Li, you keep calling my mother Miss and me young master. You're messing up the seniority." Zhuang Yichen shook his head and smiled. "When she got married, I always called her Mississippi. When she gave birth to you, I called you young master. Now that you're all grown up, I can't keep calling you young master, right?" "Yes, you're right. Uncle Li, you can call me whatever you want. Let's go to Qingfeng Garden." Zhuang Yichen sighed. "Young master, I didn't have time to tell you today. Young madam went back to her parents' home." "How is she?" Li Yong sighed. "The subordinate said that she's so thin that she's out of shape. Let's go to my mother-in-law's house." Zhuang Yichen reached out to the gap next to the seat. He pulled out a small fingernail-sized listening device and held it in his hand. He pointed it at the rearview mirror and said to Li Yong, "Have all the cars in the house been checked?" Li Yong shook his head. Around 30 listening devices is a conservative estimate. After Xan Man moved into the house, there were more than one listening device in every room. "I think there are at least 3 listening devices in the study." Zhuang Yichen sighed and rolled down the car window. He threw the listening device out and closed the window. He raised his head and leaned against the pillow. "Uncle Li, when you see Xiaoyao later, help me talk to her. I just sorted out my thoughts. In front of her, it's easy for my ability to express myself. I'm afraid I'll say something wrong." Li Yong looked at Zhuang Yichen and comforted him, "Young madam will understand. The house is full of listening devices and there are spies everywhere. Even you and I have to rely on our tacit understanding to deal with them. There's no other way." Zhuang Yichen suddenly closed his eyes and put his hand on his forehead. "Uncle Li, I'm too greedy. Too greedy. That day, when I saw Xiaoyao destroy the clothes, bed sheets, and photos, I was thinking that I was too greedy. I wanted to make Zhuang Yifeng's life worse than death. Zhuang Yifeng also wanted to make my life worse than death. He thought that death was too easy, too easy. But Uncle Li, I didn't want it to be like this, but my mother was in so much pain back then." Zhuang Yichen panted and tried to calm himself down. Zhuang Yifeng was so vicious at such a young age. He made my mother amputate her leg. Zhuang Yichen gritted his teeth. I really hate him. But, recently, I realized that I shouldn't have done this. I should have killed him earlier. If he was dead, there wouldn't have been so many problems. For the sake of a process, I got such an outcome. Say, if Zhuang Yifeng hadn't hung Axian Man up that night out of suspicion, would Xiaoyao still have a chance to live? I've hidden her for more than 4 years. More than 4 years, but I almost killed her. It was not until now that Zhuang Yichen's hands began to tremble by his side. In the past few years, he had exposed countless women, but he had never exposed Xiaoya. He often changed women to eat with, but he had never eaten with Xiaoya. Even when it came to making her famous, he had secretly arranged for someone to do it. He had never shown his face. However, getting married almost killed her. Zhuang Yifeng wasn't a small luoluo. How could he fight? It took a long time to prepare a large pile of evidence. He had to start a court session, adjourn the court, find a lawyer, and repeat the process. Besides, Zhuang Yifeng's evidence wasn't as easy to find as Zhuang Jingren's. In the past, Zhuang Jingren had taken the blame for many things. He should have done what he did today and just killed him to end everything. Young master, don't think too much. When we see young madam later, I'll explain it to her. She will definitely understand you. Uncle Li, let's go to the mall. Xiaoyao likes beautiful shoes. I'll pick a pair for her. When the shoes were thrown down the stairs by Mother Qiu, Zhuang Yichen finally faced the fear that he didn't dare to think about. He raised his hand and knocked on the door. Mom, can you open the door and let me talk to Xiaoya? Get out. Get as far away as you can. Our boss doesn't care about scum like you. Mother Qiu yelled at Zhuang Yichen through the door in her loud voice. Zhuang Yichen wasn't a talkative person. Faced with Mother Qiu's yelling, he could only stand outside the door. After a while, he knocked on the door again but didn't say anything. He knocked on the door intermittently until 1:00 in the morning. Mother Qiu finally wanted to tear down the house because of Zhuang Yichen. She opened the door with a broom and aimed it at Zhuang Yichen's handsome face. Zhuang Yichen raised his hand to block it. When he saw that the person who hit him was Mother Qiu, he was stunned and did not dare to fight back. Li Yong anxiously apologized and acted like a good person. He held Mother Qiu's hand and said, In-law, calm down. Can you let the children talk about it themselves? What do you mean by that? Who are the children? I only have one child, and that's Xiaoya Qiu. How can a man like him have a child? Mother Qiu felt stifled. She felt terrible, especially after Xiaoya left. She felt stifled. Xiaoya already knew that one day, Zhuang Yichen would come looking for her on a whim. That was why she left so cleanly and didn't even contact her family. Her daughter, who had been with her for more than 20 years, didn't even call her family because of a man like him. Thinking about how her daughter committed suicide because of Kang Yun, Mother Qiu didn't even dare to close her eyes. She couldn't even eat. If her husband hadn't comforted her all day long, she would have been the one committing suicide. She held the broom in her hand and lowered her head to bite Li Yong's hand. Mama Qiu had always been a tough woman. She had the final say in the family. Papa Qiu had always listened to her from the time they started dating until they got married. She was the queen of the family. She had always had a bad temper. Moreover, they didn't live in a high-class society. The people she interacted with were all gossipy women. Everyone would gossip when they were together. She was never afraid of quarreling. She had always been a shrew. Therefore, biting Li Yong's hand was a smooth task. Now that she was free, she swung the broom again and hit Zhuang Yichen. Zhuang Yichen only covered his face. He didn't say anything about the other parts of his body being hit. Mom, you can hit me however you want. Let me go in and talk to Xiaoyao. In your dreams. Zhuang Yichen could only be polite and respectful to this extent. He had been hit for so long. He was afraid that Mother Chiu would close the door if she stopped hitting him. He simply grabbed Mother Chiu's shoulder and lifted her to the side. Mother Chiu was shocked by Zhuang Yichen's strength. She was already a little fat, so Zhuang Yichen could be said to have lifted her by the shoulder. 1903 While she was still in a daze, Zhuang Yichen had already entered the house. Xiaoya's slippers were still at the door. When he came to pick up the bride during the wedding, he knew that the room facing the south belonged to Xiaoya. Even though Xiaoya was married, Mother Chiu couldn't bear to use this room to live in. She wanted to leave it empty for Xiaoya. He strode towards the room facing the south. Mother Chiu couldn't stop him. The door was pushed open by Zhuang Yichen hurriedly. The smile on his face froze. Nothing in the room had changed. When returning home after marriage, they followed the old tradition. They even stayed here for a night. When he woke up the next day, Mother Chiu cleaned up the room. Before he left, he went into the room to take his watch. No one had lived in this room before. The blanket was folded on the bed, but a large piece of colorful cloth covered the blanket and the entire bed to prevent dust. No one had lived in this room before. There was a smell that hadn't been in for a long time. When he breathed in, it was very bitter. Mom, where is Xiaoya? Zhuang Yichen turned around and stared blankly at Mrs. Chiu and Mr. Chiu, who were walking toward him fiercely. Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 775. You're asking me where she is. Chiu Yichen's mother picked up a stool and threw it at Zhuang Yichen. Zhuang Yichen stood where he was and barely caught the stool with his shoulder. Li Yong shouted, "Young master." When he rushed over, it was already too late. Zhuang Yichen grunted but did not dodge. His eyes were bloodshot. Mom, where did Xiaoya go? I don't know. Chiu Yichen's mother, Wah. She sat down on the ground like a shrew who had just finished a quarrel. However, the tears in her voice were not the killer move of a shrew. Instead, they were unconcealable sorrowful cries. I don't know. Where did my boss go? She won't tell me. Chiu Yichen's mother's sorrowful voice echoed in the house. It was as if she had lost a loved one. She did not want to cry like this, but where did her daughter go? Where was she? Was it safe to carry the money with her? Would she meet bad people? All these questions made it difficult for her to control herself. Zhuang Yichen was frightened by Chiu Yichen's mother's cries. He was extremely flustered. From what he could tell, this was not an act. It was as if all the cells in her body were being torn apart. He felt as if all the cells in his body were being torn apart. Leave. You're not welcome in our house. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. Chiu Yichen's father was never one to argue. He wiped away Chiu Yichen's mother's tears as he yelled at Zhuang Yichen. When Zhuang Yichen went downstairs, the pair of shoes had already been picked up by someone. It made sense. Xiaoya had always liked gorgeous shoes. A pair of shoes cost tens of thousands of yuan. If they were left downstairs, people who didn't know how to appreciate them wouldn't be able to resist taking them home. Zhuang Yichen had been suppressing his anger and could not find a place to vent it. He walked onto the lawn. No matter how far away it was from Chiu Yichen's parents' house, he would go into search. Young master, stop looking. Someone must have picked them up. Uncle Li, you go back first. I'll look for a while more. You know that Xiaoyao likes shoes very much. I don't know what my taste is like. Maybe she won't like it. She has always been picky about what she wears. Zhuang Yichen kept his head down. He did not miss a single detail. The neighborhood was not big, and the lawn was not big either. There were only 6 small lawns and 4 small flower beds. The road was narrow, and some cars were parked between the road and the grass. After finding the grass, Zhuang Yichen started to check the undercarriage of the cars. Li Yong followed behind without saying a word. Young master, young madam might have gone out to relax. She'll be back in a few days. When she's back, I'll have a good talk with her. Zhuang Yichen did not say a word. He focused on what he was doing. Every time he finished looking for a car, he would stand up and look at the sky before continuing. He started to hate the small size of the neighborhood. Soon, he had searched through the entire neighborhood. Although it was early spring, the night was still cold. Li Yong found a flashlight. The light from the flashlight was surrounded by clouds of fog, but the cold air did not freeze Zhuang Yichen. Instead, he was sweating because of his constant walking. The sky was already bright. He searched twice but still could not find the pair of shoes. The new spring design was a flirtatious red. The heels were 9 centimeters. Xiaoyu had always liked high heels. She had only worn some of them once or twice. The sky brightened, reminding Zhuang Yichen that the night had been fruitless. He hated this kind of hint. He finally lost his temper and yelled at Li Yong, "Go check the CCTV. I'll find the shoes even if I have to dig 3 feet into the ground." Li Yong immediately turned off the flashlight and went to the security room. He knew that the pair of shoes was not the only thing the young master was looking for, there was also the young mistress. She took her current identity card and looked at it several times. It was Jiang Xiaoyu. She liked this name and asked her mother to change it. It was said that a fish's memory only lasted for a few seconds. She knew that she would soon turn Zhuang Yichen into Kang Yiyun and forget about the man who hurt her. In her life, men might just be a scenery. Qin County was a small county in the south. The population density was moderate. Xiaoyu rented a fully renovated 3-bedroom apartment for only 500 yuan. Compared to the housing prices in the county, she felt that it was a good deal to rent a place like this. The cost of living was not low, and the housing prices were not low. However, the rental price was very cheap. Xiaoyu had never thought about how to survive in a place like this. However, she was soon overwhelmed by the renovations upstairs, downstairs, left and right. What was worse was that the renovations upstairs were still going on at night. She could not help but admire the overall quality of the people in Qin County. Although she saw Zhuang Yichen whenever she closed her eyes, she still needed to be quiet. So she put on her slippers and went upstairs to reason with him. When the door opened, it was a fat lady in her 40s. She had a gold chain around her neck, a gold chain around her wrist, and a gold ring on her finger. Her earrings had already stretched out her earlobes. "Who are you looking for?" the fat lady in gold asked in an unfriendly manner. "Hello, madam." Xiaoyu was a very polite person outside. She had done business before, so her attitude and tone were impeccable. The fat lady's cold face immediately broke into a smile. "Who are you looking for?" "Madam, I live downstairs. The renovation of your house is giving me a headache. Can you move the renovation to the day?" Just as she smiled, the fat lady immediately became unhappy. "I'm not free during the day. If these guys aren't supervising the work, they're dawdling. I'm paying them by the day." If other houses have people guarding them, they would have moved in long ago. My house has been doing the curtain holes for 10 days. Xiaoyu sighed. She knew that it was useless to argue with people in a small county. She had lived in a small county when she was young. She could not complain about everything. "Why don't we do it this way? I'll help you supervise tomorrow. You don't have to renovate at night. The fat lady was a little suspicious of Xiaoyu's intentions. You? Xiaoyu smiled. You don't have any valuable items in your house. Are you afraid that I'll remove your tiles one by one? I'm afraid your renovation team won't agree to it, right? You don't look like someone who's greedy for petty gains. I don't like to take advantage of people either. If you supervise me, I'll give you $100 a day. However, you have to help me monitor the quality and ask them to finish as soon as possible. Xiaoyu did not expect to meet such a generous person. She was overjoyed. Deal. My surname is Jean. You can call me Sister Jean. Xiaoyu was stunned for a moment. She really liked Jean. She smiled and extended her hand. Sister Jean. The two of them shook hands, one fat and one thin. Xiaoyu had bought a sewing machine while she was supervising the construction. After looking at the renovation drawings of Sister Jin's house, she had bought some fabric from the internet. Upstairs, the electric drill made a puff, puff, puff sound. Downstairs, her sewing machine also made a puff, puff, puff sound. That way, she would not find the noise downstairs annoying. Every once in a while, she would go upstairs. When the renovation upstairs was completed, Xiaoyu gave the curtains that he had made to Sister Jean. The main curtain was luxurious and the fabric in the small room was different according to the color of the renovation. There was a warm and small room, and there was also a beautiful and dreamy one. Sister Jean was so happy that she could not close her mouth. Oh my God, these are the best curtains I've ever seen. They're as beautiful as the curtains in the houses of the millionaires on TV. They've improved my taste in the house. Xiaoyu, I have to pay you for this. How can we make such curtains here? Look, you've prepared one for me in every room. No, I have to pay you, Sister Jean said as she rummaged through her handbag. When Xiaoyu saw that Sister Jean liked the curtains, he ran his fingers through his hair and held onto Sister Jin's arm. Sister Jean, this is just a token of my appreciation for your housewarming. It's really free. If you really think that I've done a good job, please introduce some clients to me. But as you can see, the fabric and quality of my curtains are different from the ones outside. The cheaper ones outside. Xiaoyu scratched his head awkwardly. Sister Jean patted the hand on her arm and pursed her lips, causing the flesh on her chin to show. Do you think that Sister Jean doesn't know what's good for her? I'll introduce some clients to you tomorrow. I'll take pictures of the samples at home and show them off tomorrow. If they want cheap goods, I'll get them to buy them from the market. How can they be worthy of Xiaoyu's curtains? After Xiaoyu and Aunt Jean made friends, the clients came to them one by one. Although the curtains were very expensive, there was still a market for them. It was just 2 pieces of cloth, but through Xiaoyu's hands, they could produce a different effect. She was willing to use cloth, buy good accessories, and choose the fabric beforehand. Moreover, her curtains were decorated in the same style as the clients' homes. Sometimes, she was even responsible for matching the decorations and hanging the paintings in the clients' homes. Therefore, even though Xiaoyu's curtains were expensive, there were still people waiting in line for her. She was still waiting. Sister Jean suggested that Xiaoyu open a shop and hire a few more people so that she would not be too tired. However, Xiaoyu refused. Initially, she wanted to go out and find something to do. But now, she realized that it was better not to open a shop and she could make a lot of money. Sister Jean saw that Xiaoyu was single and she was good-looking, not to mention her temperament. Hence, she wanted to find a boyfriend for her. However, the businessmen in her circle were either as old as her or as fat as her. She always felt that such people were not worthy of Xiaoyu. On this day, Sister Jean introduced another client to Xiaoyu. It was the home of a 70-year-old lady. Sister Jean said that money was not a problem. The important thing was that the old lady had a strange temper. Xiao Yu would not refuse to do business with money. Moreover, the people that Sister Jean introduced had always been reliable. Hence, she went to see the style of the house. The doorbell rang. The person who opened the door was probably the housekeeper. The housekeeper was dressed very well and looked like a housekeeper who had lived in a big city. She also spoke very modestly and did not seem like someone from a small town. Miss Jiang. Hello, is Granny Sue home? The young master came back from the provincial capital to visit Granny Sue yesterday. The two of them went hiking early in the morning and will only be back after a while. Come in. Granny Sue said that you can do whatever you want after seeing the style of the house. Okay. Xiao Yu took off her shoes at the door and changed into the slippers that the housekeeper handed to her before entering the house. Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 776. Xiao Yu entered the room and asked about the old lady's preferences. She took out a small tape measure and asked the nanny to help her take the measurements. Miss Jiang, you're really good at cooking. It's rare to see a young lady as beautiful as you, the nanny said as she chatted with Xiao Yu. I'm just making ends meet. There's nothing good about it, Xiao Yu replied modestly with a smile. The nanny shook her head. That's not the case. Mrs. Jean was a picky person. She would tell everyone that you're good at cooking and that you're a good person. You're not like those girls nowadays who are so impetuous. Let me see, you do look like one of them. Xiao Yu thought to himself, that was when I was impatient. Sister Jean just didn't see it. At her age, she has experienced 2 life-and-death relationships. How can she still be impatient? Her heart is probably as calm as still water. Sister Jean is a little biased towards me. Naturally, she would have her own feelings. It's just a little exaggerated. It was a little tiring to talk to this 40-year-old nanny. The nanny spoke in an old-fashioned tone. Xiao Yu wondered what kind of master had taught her to speak in such a tone. There were not many curtains in the house with 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. Xiao Yu took the measurements very quickly and wrote down the measurements of all the windows in her notebook. She then took out her phone and asked the nanny, Auntie, I'm just taking photos out of habit. I'll go home and see how I match the colors. Does Granny Sue mind? It's okay. The old lady said that the person recommended by Mrs. Jean must be reliable. If you want to take photos, just take them. Just don't take them in front of the old man's portrait. Xiao Yu had already seen the black and white photo hanging in the middle of the living room. There was even an incense burner table. There was not a single speck of dust on it. It was obvious that they had taken good care of it. She was not interested in those things at all. I won't. Don't worry, Auntie. After taking the photos in the living room, Xiao Yu went to the bedroom. She had always been very serious when it came to fabrics. In the past, she used to make custom-made clothes. Now that she was using custom-made curtains, she felt that they were all the same. Shi Yin quickly passed the dishes to Xiao Yu. It's time to make lunch. Okay, Grandma, take a rest. After taking the last photo, Xiao Yu walked out of the house and saw an old lady with her hair tied up in a bun. She was drinking from a very old teacup. There were a lot of old things in the house, so she was not surprised at all. At first glance, it was obvious that it was something with commemorative significance. Seeing how respectful the housekeeper was to the old lady, Xiao Yu bowed slightly at the old lady. Granny Sue, you're back. You're Xiao Yu, right? The old lady asked as she handed the teacup to the housekeeper. Yes, it's me. The old lady looked very tired, but she was in good spirits. She was in her 70s, but her back was still straight and her legs were not trembling. She walked to the sofa in the living room and sat down. Mrs. Jean told me that Xiaoyu is such an intelligent girl. I didn't believe her at first. Now that I see her, she's really young, good at cooking, and polite, the old lady said to Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu was a little embarrassed by the old lady's praise. In the past, no old lady had ever praised her in such a way. She was only polite to her own clients. However, now that she had let go of everything, she felt that she should not be impulsive. It was better to avoid unnecessary trouble. Xiaoyu did not know if she respected other people or not. A man walked out of the kitchen. It was not that Xiaoyu wanted to look at him, but she had never seen a man with such a temperament in this county. He was wearing a sports shirt and looked very casual. His facial features were bright and handsome, but his face was gentle and noble. His height made him look like a crane in a flock of chickens. "Do you have a guest?" the man asked as he looked at Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu smiled back at him and nodded. "Have you had lunch?" the old lady asked Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu turned around and put his phone into the bag. "Yes, I have, Grandma." The old lady pursed her lips and snorted. "It's hard to lie to an old lady like me. It's only 11:15. You should have come to my house at around 10:30. Did you have lunch at 10:30? Having her lie exposed in front of everyone, Xiaoyu was instantly embarrassed. She thought that the other party was only asking out of politeness. Wasn't the most common question asked by Chinese people the same question as, "Have you eaten yet?" If she said that she had not eaten, the old lady would be forced to ask her to stay for lunch. Moreover, she did not like the feeling of being in a crowded place. It was quite nice to be alone. "Grandma, you're too direct. You've scared this young lady," the man said to the old lady with an amused look on Xiaoyu's face. "Grandma, you're too direct. You've scared this young lady. It's none of your business." The old lady glared at the man. "Su Jian, don't think that you can judge me just because you live in a big city. You're not allowing me to speak the truth, are you? It's only because your grandfather is no longer around. If he were around, would he allow you to bully me like this?" As the old lady spoke, her eyes started to redden. Xiaoyu felt a headache coming on. At the end of the day, she was the one who was at fault. Su Jian hurriedly walked to the portrait in the hall, put his hands together, bowed, and muttered, "Grandpa, your grandson is unfilial and offended Grandma again. Please don't blame me. Your grandson promises that he will never bully your wife again. Your wife is right. She will always be right." The old lady finally smiled. "It's good that you know to admit your mistake. Xiaoyu, hurry up and cook some food for Xiaoyu." This Xiaoyu. Fish food. How could Xiaoyu stand an old lady who was so enthusiastic about her first meeting? Moreover, Jean had said that the old lady had a strange temper. If she said something wrong for no reason later, was she supposed to pay her respects to the portrait? For a moment, she was at a loss and did not know where to go. "Ha! Grandma, there's no need for that. Are you complaining that our dishes are not good enough? Then I'll deduct Xiaoyu's salary." The old lady even snorted after saying that. Look at her temper. What did she mean by complaining that the dishes were not good enough? Xiaoyu had never eaten here before. How would she know if the dishes were good or not? The housekeeper shouted from the kitchen, "Old madam, in all honesty, which meal is not good enough?" Su Jian walked over and patted Xiaoyu on the shoulder. "Eat here. Aunt Yu's dishes are really good." Then, he walked past the old lady. "Grandma, I'm going to take a shower. I'm all sweaty." The old lady smiled but said, "You only know how to waste water." Xiaoyu's ability to express herself was not as good as before. Perhaps it was because she was deliberately not willing to talk too much. Jean was the only person who talked to her the most. At the table, she only ate some vegetables and took small bites of rice. When she ate with Zhuang Yichen, his movements were always not very elegant. She would always restrain herself. In just a few months, it had become a habit. The old lady looked at the way Xiaoyu ate and then looked at Su Jian. They were both people who did not talk when eating. She smiled to herself. After Xiaoyu finished her meal, she helped the housekeeper clear the dishes. She felt that it was not right to leave after having a meal at someone else's house. She was not even close to them. After cleaning up, Xiaoyu said goodbye to the old lady. Zhiyan, send Xiaoyu out, the old lady ordered. Oh, okay. Su Jian stood up. He had already changed into another set of casual clothes. His clothes seemed to be light-colored. Xiaoyu remembered Zhuang Yichen's solemnity and Su Jian's cheerfulness. Xiaoyu knew that she could not refuse. However, she still said, "Grandma, it's really not necessary. I rode my bicycle here." "Oh, so you're saying that you're looking down on my bicycle? Don't force me. When the time comes, I'll ask my grandson to drive his $10 million bicycle back." Xiaoyu knew that this old lady was someone who could not be disobeyed. If you resisted her decision even a little, she would stab you to death. In the end, Su Jian put Xiaoyu's bicycle in the trunk and drove her home. "Xiaoyu, you're not from Qin County, right?" "Yes, I'm not from here." "How long have you been in Qin County?" "Less than a month." Xiaoyu did not care. "Grandma said that your curtains are very good. She asked me to introduce you to some businesses." The tourism industry in Qin County is developing very well. There are a few 5-star hotels. Why don't I introduce you to some hotels and you can hire a few workers to make the curtains in the hotels? Xiaoyu shook her head without hesitation. She was afraid that she would be too idle. "I don't want to hire workers. I can do it myself." "Why don't you do it when there's money to be made?" "I don't want to make so much money. The money I've earned now is enough to spend. If it's stable, I can save a lot of money in a year. I don't want to do big businesses. I want to live a simple life. It's quite comfortable." She could not bear to look back on her luxurious past. Those shoes that cost tens of thousands and clothes that cost hundreds of thousands only reminded her of a man called Zhuang Yichen. Her expensive past was inseparable from money. In fact, a pair of shoes that cost $100 had the same function as a pair of shoes that cost tens of thousands. She did not want to fight for those expensive things anymore. She had once climbed into Zhuang Yichen's bed because she wanted Kang Yun to see her success. Now, she did not want anyone to see it. In the future, she wanted to live a normal life. She would save some money every year, buy a small house, marry an ordinary man, have children, and live a normal life. Her father used to be an ordinary worker. In fact, now that she thought about it, her mother was very happy. Although her man was not rich, he had doted on her for her entire life. Su Jian held the steering wheel and tilted his head slightly. He saw Xiaoyu's eyes looking forward in a daze. Her hands were holding the seatbelt in front of her chest very, very tightly. The next day, Xiaoyu's doorbell rang. It was Su Jian. "Am I bothering you?" When Su Jian smiled, it was as gentle as jade. Xiaoyu smiled back. "The curtains won't be ready so soon. It'll take about 5 days. I'll send it to Grandma Su when it's done. Grandma asked me to bring a jade to Miss Jean and ask her jewelry shop to make a chain for it. She's not around. I called her and she asked me to wait for her at your house. Is it convenient? Come in." Xiaoyu opened the door. Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 777. Xiaoyu poured a glass of water for Su Jian, then sat in front of the sewing machine and focused on making the curtains for her client. Su Jian didn't say much. He sat quietly on the sofa and listened to the tap 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 sound coming from the room. Things like mobile phones were very useful at this time. They could go online and check Weibo. Xiaoyu only stopped working when someone knocked on the door and went to open it. It was Jean who greeted her with a bright smile. Xiaoyu, is young Master Yan here? Yes. In a place like the county, it felt like flattery to hear someone call him young master. However, Xiaoyu did not say it out loud. Jin's laughter was as big as her belly. She shouted at the top of her lungs, young Master Yan. Jean. Su Jian stood up and walked into the hall. Grandma asked me to come and look for you. I know. Jean opened a gold shop. As a businesswoman, she welcomed guests from all over the world with a smile. Even if it was just a small chain, she was as affectionate as she was when she saw Su Jian. Su Jian took out the small box and handed it to Jean without opening it. Jean opened the box and picked up the peach-shaped jade pendant. She looked at it under the light and exclaimed, "It's a high-quality emerald of the glass species." Su Jian said calmly, "I'm not too sure. Anyway, she asked me to trouble you to make a chain for it." Okay. By the way, have you had dinner? Before the two of them could say anything, Jean immediately said, "Let's go and eat." I'm starving. Xiaoyu wanted to decline again, but Jean glared at her and said, "You're just a lazy bum. Do you want to eat instant noodles to solve your problems? Don't think that you can ruin your body just because you're young and beautiful. When you're old and fall sick, you won't be able to treat it even if you want to." Yes, Xiaoyu. Let's go and eat together. You help my grandma make the curtains and Jean help my grandma make the chain. This meal is on me. If you refuse, I'll lose face. When Su Jian said the last sentence, he smiled faintly and shrugged his shoulders slightly. He seemed to have expected Xiaoyu to reject him, so he said the last sentence. Winter in Sea City was always longer. Even in early spring, it was still warm and cold. Zhuang Yichen was sitting cross-legged on the bed in his bedroom. He was holding a pile of notes in his hand and reading them one by one. There were bank statements, call records from mobile phone, passenger records from the airport, and passenger records from Bus D. She wanted to find a passenger named Qiu Xiaoya from those records, but she couldn't find it. Every day, he would spend a lot of time looking through these things, even if his subordinates had already gone through them. He was afraid that there would be traces of Xiaoya contacting her friends and family, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find any. He threw away a large pile of notes and printed slips, kicking them all over the place. Then, he collapsed. The bedding under her was bright red, with a thick layer of lotus leaves and lace. It was a luxurious European-style palace. This set of bedding was made by Xiaoya herself. He spread out his hands and touched the bedding with his fingertips. Although it was mended, he could still feel the traces. No matter how exquisite the mending was, it couldn't be turned back into something exactly the same. He didn't know that she would be so ruthless as to cut off all the ties between the two of them in the past. She had even deleted all the wedding photos on his computer. His throat rolled, and he quickly closed his eyes. He let out a shaky breath, and then let out a long, shaky breath. There was a pair of fiery red high heels on the bed. He felt the shoes with his eyes closed. That day, he found the shoes. Through the surveillance camera, the security guard, and the neighbor's testimony, he found the occupant. A pair of shoes that had been left outside could be picked up by anyone, but that person didn't want to return them. Uncle Lee thought that he would spend money to buy them back. Why would he spend money to buy them back? Those were his things. He bought them for his woman. Did other people want to wear them? That depended on whether they had the ability or not. He made everyone in that household lose their jobs within an hour. He stood in front of their door for an hour, making calls, checking the occupants, and checking the company. He found the shoes that he had bought for her. But he couldn't find the owner of the shoes. He collected the leftover fabric that she had cut in the house and hired the most skilled garment mender in High City. They worked in shifts, and without sleep, they mended all the clothes that she had made for him and for herself. Those suits, shirts, ties, and evening gowns were hung back in the closet one by one. He was still wearing the tie that she had given him, which was also mended. Her evening gowns were long and short, and they were hung in the closet in a variety of colors. However, he didn't know where their owner was. Zhuang Yichen just lay on the bed with his eyes closed. Ever since he entered the room, he hadn't said a word. He pinched the shoes and hugged them to his chest. His chest began to tremble and tremble. He bit his lip and curled up his body in pain. He turned to the side and hugged the shoes even tighter. He was afraid that he would crush the shoes out of shape, so he kept his eyes closed and reached out to touch the shoes. Little demon. He called out softly. Where are you? It seems like this time, you will only be satisfied after tormenting me to death. If you didn't come back, I would have forgotten what you looked like, little demon Chiu. You bastard. King wish I could forget what you look like. Zhuang Yichen curled up into a ball and began to convulse. He felt that he had never been in such pain before. He could bear with the hatred for his mother's death. He could conserve his energy. He could lay low for many years and then defeat the enemy with one move. He could attack with schemes and join hands with Jiang Zhao to get rid of the executioners of the Zhuang family. But for Xiaoya, he was in so much pain day after day. He couldn't bear it and couldn't lay low. He ran around aimlessly. He couldn't catch her and didn't know where she had gone. He was afraid. He was afraid that he would never see her again. Every day, when his subordinates came to report that there was no news, he swore that this was the last day, the last time. This would definitely be the last time he sent people out to look for her. He had had enough. The next day, he wouldn't look for her anymore. Whether she lived or died outside was none of Zhuang Yichen's business. But the next day, when he woke up, he forgot about the oath he swore the day before and sent people out to look for her in a fit of rage. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. She was really ruthless. She didn't call home, Xia Qian, or Yi Er. He even monitored their QQ and email addresses, but there was not a single message from her. Just now. When he threw away those receipts, he swore that it would be the last time. It would be the last time today. He had almost forgotten about her. It had been so long. If he couldn't find what he shouldn't forget, what was the point of keeping those memories? But when he touched the blanket and the shoes he bought for her, he wavered. He moved himself again and said, Tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last time I'll look for her. If I can't find her tomorrow night, I won't look for her again. He pieced the shredded things back together. He didn't dare to wash them or wear them, but he couldn't sleep if he didn't wear them. In the past few years, he hadn't bought a single piece of clothing himself. All of them had been personally sewn by her. Broken. They were all broken. They were all ruined. He didn't have Jiang Zhao's family. Even though Jiang Zhao's parents were divorced, they still cared for him. He didn't have Qin Fian's family background. The Qin family was the #1 family in Haiqing. What he had was the remnants of the family business left to him by the Zhuang family's grandfather. With just that little bit, He had worked hard year after year to accumulate what he had today. He was one of the wealthiest people in Haiqing. But he had worked hard for all these years. He didn't have the help of his father or the support of his brothers. Now that he was successful and had killed his enemy, he had no one to share it with. He used to have nightmares. In the middle of the night, he would put on his clothes and drive to Qingfeng Garden where he could have a good night's sleep. She never lied to him. He would give her whatever she wanted. Because she never hid anything. Other than Kang Yun, it was also because he didn't ask. If she wanted a name, he would give it to her. If she wanted a house, he would give it to her. If she wanted a car, he would give her money to buy it. If she wanted to break up, he would agree. After they broke up, he couldn't find another woman to sleep with, so he continued to pester her. If she wanted to get married, he would agree to it when he was in such a difficult situation. Even though he told her to wait a little longer, she insisted on a marriage. Fine, he would give it to her. He saw how envious she was of Yi Er's wedding. He thought that he couldn't treat his woman badly. Then, the only thing he could do to make it up to her was to give her the romance that he didn't give her in the past. Yu Shubai started to pass the message. But, in order to hide her well, he didn't eat out with her. There were only a few times when he dared to ask her out for a meal after nearly half a month of preparation. In order to hide her well, every time he attended her product launch, he would bring a female companion and sit in her VIP seat. He would watch her receive flowers and applause. Seeing the joy of success on her face, he couldn't help but want to get close to her. He could only secretly hide backstage. The woman he had hidden for 4 years was exposed to the public because of her early marriage. He knew that she must have been scared out of her wits at that time. It was all his fault. The woman he had hidden for 4 years left him because he had no choice but to hurt her, little demon. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. He gritted his teeth so hard that they made a gurgling sound. In his ears, he heard the song that his mother sang to him when he was young. He started to cry. It was so suppressed that his whole body twitched and trembled. He wanted to hold on to something, but he couldn't. Mom, you really don't have anything left to lose. Nothing, you don't have anything left. There was nothing more heart-wrenching than suppressing pain. Zhuang Yichen's pain was something he had never experienced before. He thought that everything was under his control. He thought that nothing would run out of his plan, just like what happened to Zhuang Yifeng. Beauty novel, Songshu 566. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.